You want to go into executive, though?
What's that?
Do you want to go into executive?
Do you want to? Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting here, Monday, May 22nd, 2017. The meeting is open now at 6:09 PM. We have, on the agenda tonight, we're going to be going into executive session briefly, and then we will reconvene in open session. So at this time, I entertain a motion for us to go into executive session.
Which one is it?
Should we have separate motions for
For the executive session?
separate executive sessions?
Do we want to go in for the negotiations? Or are we in agreement?
I don't.
I know what you're saying. You need one executive session for this and one for the value
Yeah.
land.
Thank you.
Halfway right now.
Thank you.
Do we need to point out right now that there's two executive sessions is what?
Yeah, right, that's
So
what
we have the need for two different executive sessions this evening. We have, one is to conduct strategy session for contract negotiations for a non-union personnel member, Police Chief Matthew King, and we also have a matter of value of land for town open space needs study. So we've got two executive sessions, so we will be going in. We do need a motion to get into executive session. Keith, I'll ask you, do we need separate motions in order to go into the executive
You would-
session with two?
You would need to have separate motions on each of the purposes for which you're going into executive session. You've got, when let's say when we've brought collective bargaining agreements
Right.
for consideration, sometimes we'll schedule it as an executive session item. If there's anything that the board wants to discuss in executive session, we can go in and then come back out and vote on it. If the board is prepared on a personnel matter, in this case, a non-union agreement, if the board's fine with the document as presented, knowing that the employee is fine with it, you could vote on it at open session without going into executive session.
Let me offer this. Let's go into executive session with contract negotiation right now. We'll come back in, we'll flip the switch, we'll go back on to open session,
And then go into executive.
and then we'll go back into executive
Okay,
session and take
sure.
that motion.
All right, so move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A2, to go into executive session for the purpose of conducting strategy session and conducting negotiations with non-union personnel, police chief, and to convene an open session thereafter.
It's been moved. For a second?
Second?
Seconded. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Gerlich?
Aye.
Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Napoli? Son of a- Chair's in favor. So it's unanimous. We're going into executive session. Should be a short recess here, folks. Enjoy the music, and we'll come right back into open session.
can do that, Chuck, if you want me to.
It is that seat's
Just give me the
responsibility.
signal, I'm on it.
No. Bring up the speed here. Okay, thank you, folks. We just went into and came out of executive session, and we are now on to open session, and the matter that we went into executive session for was contract negotiations with the police chief. And at this time, I would entertain a motion relative to the contract as discussed in executive session.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve an employment contract with Police Chief Matthew J. King for the period July 1, 2017 through July 1, 2018.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
That's an all-time record for the shortest executive session.
Thank you.
Joseph, my friend.
I'm here.
You have a motion for this one, right?
Yeah, I think
And there is a
should discuss
there's a document, 2 copies of a document, Chief, to be signed. And we might just want, since we're in open session, we may just want to say that what the board and the chief have agreed to is a final 1-year contract where the chief's contract is extended through his date of retirement, which the chief is establishing at July 1, 2018 in this agreement, so that his current contract would have otherwise expired in September of 2017, so this carries him forward to the following July 1st, 2018, when when his Quinn bill payment would kick in and other leave, so that it affords us a timetable for transition.
Right. Affords us the opportunity to start the search while chief is still employed, so that we have the best process possible.
Right.
Thank you for that summary, Keith. Okay, so that was executive session for negotiations. We do have another executive session scheduled for tonight. It's value of land, town office space needs study. Before we go into executive session, I think Mr. Gerlich has some comments.
Yeah, I
relative
had a
to-
couple comments on this, principally that I think there's public interest in discussing the use of property and what property this might be, but to the extent that we're limiting our executive discussion to the value of the real estate in question, I think this is an appropriate topic for executive session. So I would suggest a motion slightly different than the one that's here, adding on in open session thereafter, under agenda item 8D, to discuss the subject property and office space needs, or something along those lines. Essentially acknowledging that we'll discuss the property in section 8D.
Right, make a determination to have that discussion during tonight's open session agenda,
Yep.
where it would come up under item 8D.
Yep. But to the extent that we're discussing the value of the real property, I think
appropriate.
that's appropriate under an executive session.
I'm comfortable with that. Everybody else okay with
I'm
that?
fine with
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
Okay. All right, so we do have the need to go into executive session. With your amendment, do you mind?
Sure. Move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to go into executive session to consider the value of real property, since an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the board's negotiating position relative to the property, to address town office space needs, and to convene an open session thereafter under agenda item 8D to discuss the subject property and office space needs.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. It's a roll call vote. I'll start down here. Ms. Napoli?
Aye.
Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Mr. Gurley?
Aye.
Chair's in favor as well. So we're going to go into executive session now. Should be a relatively short conversation. We're hoping to be back into open session by 6:30, which is about 10 minutes.
Okay.
My phone's officially
I
dead.
I said, I thought you went off the reservation.
Right?
That was mentioned.
Email works, but it's only when I get a chance to check it. And that'll be solved soon.
Good evening and welcome back. We are now out of executive session, back into open session. And I will,
Have to do the,
Allow-
we haven't done-
we haven't yet, right, I figured, I wanted to get the audience in. Just give folks a minute just to kind of get settled.
good job.
So, the agenda is as follows. 6:30 or thereabouts, organization, pledge to the flag, read mail. At 6:40, item 3 will be appointments. We have the opportunity to promote a police sergeant from within the ranks. Mr. Douglas Landry is here, Patrolman Landry. We will do an appointment to the Conservation Commission, Rachel Robinson. At 7 PM, we will have an opportunity for public input and member input. I will just state, as I will probably state every meeting hereafter, if you do have any public input, I ask that you raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, and any comments come through the chair. Just show respect to one another. And at 7:10, we plan on going into our goals for 2018. 7:30, item 6 will be chapter land, which is town-owned land and state-owned land, which is going to be a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors. 8 PM, town website update, Information Systems and Finance will give us that update. 8:20, town administrator, assistant town administrator reports, award integrated financial management software, policy, that's item A. Item B is policy adoption. Item C is fire station facility update. Item D is procurement facility project updates. Item E is intermunicipal agreements with town of Boxborough relative to the animal control officer as well as LCTV cable. And item 9 is other business and minutes approval. And at this time, I ask Mr. Clerk if you'll lead us in the pledge to the flag. All rise, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Bergman, mail.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, a couple of things. First, we have a briefing from Veterans Agent John Borofsky about the plans for the Memorial Day Parade, which is next Monday, May 29th. And we also have an update from the Littleton Police Department announcing the next step in the police accreditation process, and it will be an assessment which will be conducted on June 13th and 14th, and that is the final, a final hurdle for the department, which achieved certified status last fall and is headed towards accreditation. And I'd welcome the chief to just bring us up to date on that.
As you know, we went through our certification assessment last May. We got the award, official award in late September, October last year. We kept moving forward to get to full accreditation, and we're at that point where we've completed the rest of the policies and also all the policies are complete and all the paperwork's in place. So we'll go through our final 2-day assessment in June, and the department's done a great job. This isn't if it wasn't for the men and women of the department, we wouldn't be where we are. So
Very good. Good luck.
thank you.
It's a lot of work. And let's see, just a quick update on another matter that I had emailed the board about on Friday, and that the town staff is continuing to work with Mass DOT District 3, that we had a long list of pedestrian improvements, complete streets style improvements that we were hoping that they could address while they're doing the remilling of King Street and Great Road. And We're still waiting on the final verdict, but it does look like a significant amount of sidewalk and ramps and maybe even a crosswalk on, between Littleton Common and Acton Toyota, they will be able to deliver perhaps by June 30. So we'll have additional information, and it was, District 3, again, was very, very responsive to our requests, and they are, at this point, looking to spend a lot of money in a short period of time, and we are happy to help them do that, so.
Question about that. So with the milling of everything that's going on, Memorial Day Parade's going right through the common. You've sent out an email saying that they're kind of on notice to make sure it's swept and we're able to.
Yes,
Have
they,
it ready.
yeah, the one hiccup would have been, in order for them to proceed and get things done by June 30, they just wanted to know if it was okay to do the area of the common, mindful that there's a Memorial Day Parade, and with the assurance to the veterans agent and to police and highway that it's going to be swept in time for the parade, that we said that we're fine with MassDOT doing that work, and we'll hold them to that.
Could we also request that they, right before the parade, a day or two before, go through and make sure to mark the high spots that are sticking up? I would hate to see someone trip over one of those during the parade.
Sure, we can ask that.
Just another set of spray paint could go a long way.
I think he's talking about me.
Pick up your feet, so.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
It could make it interesting.
We will ask. Right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, next up, Chief, I'd ask you to come forward, please. We do have promotion this evening. Thank you. Give you the floor.
I present to you Doug Landry. As you know, we had a process for getting a patrol sergeant opening. We had a process which was an assessment center, an oral board, which two members of the board, Mr. Knox and Chairman DeCoste had on. We had three candidates for the position. Any one of the three would have done a great job as a sergeant. However, throughout this process, Doug Landry has excelled in the process, and also has, as you saw from his resume, has done a lot for the department. He is here tonight. You see several members of the department. He's here with his smarter half, his wife, and their young son. So, with that, I first will let Doug maybe let you guys grill Doug a little bit and then have a little fun, and then we can come back to it.
Yeah, well, I'll just introduce my wife, Sarah.
Hello.
My son, Wyatt. It's be 9 months and 2 days from now, so he's
Great.
a little guy. I'm glad they could be here. If you guys want to have a seat.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, a little bit about myself, Doug Landry. I've been with the department for 4 years. I grew up in Shirley, so somewhat local. I went to Air High School. After high school, I went to Westfield State College. While I was in college, I started working for the Nantucket Police Department as a summer special, like a summer reserve police officer during the summer season.
You ever run across this guy?
I know he's local. He's he spent some time on the
I
island.
remember when.
He runs fast.
I remember my original interview here.
My daughter is still out there, though.
I'm jealous. It's a good place. Well, I'm not jealous. I'm glad I'm here. Good things are happening for me here, obviously. But I did enjoy Nantucket. It was time to go. That's how Nantucket works for some people. Some people can
So
work.
I felt in 1984.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you bought at the right time. It's a little different around the airport now. So 2008, I started working in Nantucket for the summer. I went back to school, graduated, a degree in psychology as well as criminal justice. And then I was invited back to Nantucket the following summer, so I worked for that summer. And then I was hired full-time, so I stayed for another 3 years, about 4 years out there full-time, 3 years full-time, 4 years altogether. And then it was time to go. I had a great time, good experience. But the family was back in Shirley, so I moved back here. Littleton was hiring. I applied and was extremely grateful to get that spot. I was new growing up with internships locally, that highly respected department in Littleton. So again, happy to be here. My role in Littleton for the last 4 years, I've been working the overnight shift, so you might not see me too much unless it's out flapping my arms during the day on the road. But kind of combat that, I've been involving myself as much as possible with a lot of the community programs that you see that the department puts on. So I'm big into the Explore program we had, the Student Police Academy. I'm a RAD instructor, so I assist for the women's self-defense classes in town. A couple other programs I've been involved with. My role at the department, again, late night patrolman. For the last 3 years, I've had somewhat of a glimpse into what I'm going to be taking on here as a supervisor. I've been the officer in charge for 2 out of my 4 nights working. So the 2 of my nights that I work, there's no sergeant on the shift, so I'm the senior officer, so I've been in charge. So that's kind of given me that good insight to what to expect, some experience and knowledge into what's coming up here. And then what I do in my spare time is some cop stuff. I teach a lot. I'm big into teaching police officers at the department as well as at some of the local academies. Obviously spending a ton of time with my family, and I'm just excited for the opportunity. So thank you all for the time tonight and letting me meet with you.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Members have any comments and questions? Patrolman Landry?
A curiosity question. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled with your background, your service to the town, everything that you present tonight and everything people say about you, so I have no doubts about your ability to be a great sergeant. Just curious if there's something that you haven't had the opportunity to be involved in that maybe the new position will give you the time or the opportunity to, that interests you within police work first.
Right. Well, I've been fortunate. You know, I'm a go-getter. I'm always trying to strive to do more myself. So opportunities come, I take advantage of them. So I've done a lot, as you can see in my resume. You know, I'm excited to be a good sergeant. This is a huge career goal for me. I'm 8 years into my career now, but I'm 30. I'll be 31 next month. So I think it's a good time for me to get into here. But I'm just excited to do a good job in that role. Another huge career goal of mine was to get on a SWAT team, and we're lucky that Littleton is a NEMLEC community, which is the Northeast Municipal Law Enforcement Council. So we're part of a regional law enforcement council that each town provides services, and they have a regional SWAT team. So there's about 36 guys from 70 communities. And it was not an easy process, but last year I got on that team. So I'm excited. That's something I'm doing now within the department and the other towns locally. So that's a huge goal of mine, and obviously just this promotion. But you know, anything I can do, you know, as a leader within the department and the town, I'm excited for. So sorry, nothing more specific.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
So you said you're excited to be a good sergeant. Tell me what that means. What does
Right.
being a good sergeant mean?
I just want to be an asset to the town and to the department, the guys working with me, guys and girls. You know, I've been on the job a little while. I worked at a fairly busy department in Nantucket. It was a high call volume, so I've seen some things, not everything. I'm always learning, always a student. I'm always excited to learn more. But I think I have that competency to be a leader and a supervisor. So just like leading by example, you know, setting the bar high by showing myself and getting people to rise up there. That's what I'm excited for. You know, I don't know. It's just a good opportunity. I hope I can, again, just be a benefit to the town and department.
Your resume certainly speaks to setting the bar high.
So I appreciate that.
Knox?
Well, it's not too much I want to say, because we've already had our chance to grill them, but
Interview, not grill.
Yeah, right.
I just want to say, I don't know how many times I've been at something and I've seen someone so prepared as you were for that exercise that we went through. I'm extremely impressed, and happy to take that position.
Oh, thank you. Talking. He doesn't talk.
Wyatt has a couple questions.
He's learning raspberry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I get those the whole meeting, Wyatt. You're welcome to stay. Throughout the interview process, the Selectman Knox and I were obviously the 2 members of the Board of Selectmen that were on that oral board. To his point, you were very well prepared. I think you are an asset to the department and to the community as a whole. You had some great ideas. I hope that you have the opportunity to implement some of the ideas. You mentioned Community Academy that was going on in Nantucket, and you want to try to implement things like that in our community. We love those types of things, especially when they're budget neutral.
Yeah.
But I look forward to your tenure as a sergeant, and you keep setting those goals and going after them, and hopefully you'll stay here and achieve
Yeah, for
all the
sure.
goals you have before you.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Appreciate
so you bet. I think, Chief, do you have anything to add? Did you have something, Cindy?
No, I don't have anything, honestly.
Sorry.
No.
Just real quickly, of course, as you see, Doug's fairly humble too. He's on the SWAT team. He's also been essential with Sergeant Pinard and Sergeant Fernandez on bringing back the training that he's learned when we do our active shooter situations and things like that in the schools. The whole department, I think, especially rallies around the student academy and things like that. Doug's a leader in that, as well as most of the people that you see in the back of the room. All of them have participated in those things, and but Doug also is a key part of that, and I see him playing nothing but a role in that, and I see him, hopefully moving up through the ranks further as life goes on.
Thank you, Chief. I keep the team together and keep setting those goals. I'd like to ask Mr. Knox if he
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to promote Patrolman Douglas W. Landry to the position of Patrol Sergeant for the Littleton Police Department.
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you all very much.
Can I get the JoJo to meet him?
All right. Those are the good things to do, right? I like those. Next up is an appointment to Conscom, Rachel Robinson. This is Rachel, but
No, I'm
Amy's
here to
here.
get abandoned. The chairman is sick, so he's not here tonight, and Rachel's hung up, so she's not here now.
Okay.
So I don't know if you wanted me to proceed, or if you maybe wanted to table this in case she can make it later, or...
Does anybody see the need to?
This is for the one that's been vacant for like 6 months, right? So,
That
and we
that would
wanna-
be what I would, and I had the privilege of meeting Rachel when I was on Conscom, and strongly support her application, so.
Okay, yeah. I was just gonna ask a little about process, but I'm more than happy to go forward tonight whether she's here or not.
I kind of feel the same
I can
way.
appreciate, because we're getting close to quorum here.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can, people ditching you, huh?
Moving on, moving up.
Yeah, we're accepting applications through next Friday, a week from Friday, for the position.
Recently
that-
vacated seat?
The recently vacated seat, along with the reappointment of the two. So you could take those up 2 weeks from tonight. on
But I
June
think in the
5th.
interest of
That would be
retaining
fantastic, yeah.
a stronger
We
quorum,
need something tonight.
I think we should take action. Does anybody,
I mean, the one thing that I would note is that Rachel's expertise, particularly in GIS, the Geographic Information Systems or Global Information Systems, is very, very important to what the Conscom is doing in terms of mapping and,
Right.
and how things all relate spatially. So not only does she bring some expertise, but she also brings an interest in doing it. So it all fits together quite nicely.
And she's used to field work and reading plans, and she might not have the technical wetlands background, but she seems like a quick read.
any further discussion?
But again, just on processes, there's another applicant's name in here. Is that for the next round, or was he under consideration in this one?
There were two applicants that were interviewed by the Conservation Commission. Both were recommended for, I believe, in order in terms of
Rank?
filling the vacancies, but you only have one vacancy now. You'll have the second vacancy to fill at the
Okay,
next
but
meeting.
So you'll
that,
see
in
his
terms
name.
of a appointment, though, the appointment is ours, so
Yes.
the other person, I don't know either of these people, so I'm happy to go with the recommendation, except I don't want to lose sight of the fact that if it's our appointment, we probably should be interviewing everybody who's interested. And I just wonder, how did that happen, that, this weeding out part of it? What, I mean, are you familiar with how that happened? It's fine that the
It's
conservation...
been advertised multiple times, and quite frankly, by the time the commission had gotten someone in and interviewed them, and there was another resume in the line, and had made a decision, it got re-advertised. So it kept getting kicked down the street, which is why we are where we are right now.
I'm
So, yeah,
happy
right
to
now, we
appoint
basically
Rachel
only have
tonight.
two
But what I
applicants
don't want to
anyway.
get into a position of is where we have one vacancy, 5 people apply, the committee that person's going to is going to conduct interviews, and then we get one, and that's, I don't favor that process.
All the appointments, any of the resumes don't go directly to Conscom, they come through our office.
Right,
Yeah.
Conservation has been one of your boards that really wants to interview the applicants and make their recommendations to you. With respect to right now, we have one additional application now.
Right.
Which Conservation Commission has interviewed that person and is recommending that person
Okay.
to you. However, if we get additional applications, then when we're meeting here on June 2nd, you'll see multiple people, of whom only one of them will have been
Okay.
pre-interviewed by Conservation.
I am glad the Conservation Commission wants to interview them and shows that interest,
I
and
understand.
I don't mind if they make a recommendation, but I don't want it to get muddied, that the process is still
I understand your concern.
ours. I mean, statutorily,
Oh, it's your
Conscom
appointment.
is
Yes.
ours, and there's no town bylaw that says otherwise, so, but anyway.
And frankly, at this point, we had 3 applicants for what was 1 vacancy. One withdrew because she didn't think she could,
Right.
make the commitment, so we're down to 2, and now we have another vacancy, so
Yeah.
if anybody else comes forward,
Well,
obviously,
but-
start that process over.
Yeah, we're hoping we've been beating the bushes, a lot of people have been raising, for a lot of positions that are out there, we'd like to get more people involved, but for our purposes, I know you want to leave here with Rachel's appointment, I'm all for that, so let's do it.
Do we have to reappoint Sarah too?
Not
I
tonight.
think it.
No,
Yeah,
not
the
until,
next meeting.
no, not until the next meeting,
Okay.
because the deadline is June 2nd for that position.
Resumes, right.
Ready for a motion, Joe?
I am.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to MGL Chapter 40, Section 8C, and Town Code Section 8-4 to appoint Rachel Robinson to a term on the Conservation Commission expiring June 30, 2019.
Second.
Moving seconded, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you in a couple weeks.
All right, good deal. So, made up a little bit of time. We are at public input. So if there's anybody that wishes to be heard, public input? Fair enough. We will move on to member updates. Chase, can I start down your end?
Sure, you can. A couple things. One, I want to recognize the work that Park and Rec did to put together Touch a Truck. I mean, I've got a 3-year-old son.
Chuck?
Touch a Chuck. Touch a truck.
Yeah, although Chuck was there, so.
I was touched.
No, Alicia and Tim did a great job putting that together, putting everything from, motorcycle rides to light and electric and police and fire's involvement, which was.
Military vehicles.
Great, yeah, military vehicles, the Army was there.
Trash truck.
As well as several, private companies.
Big rigs,
in
yeah.
town. Very well put together. I think Tim's got some more plans for making it bigger and even more exciting, so. The other thing I wanted to recognize is the work that the Littleton Conservation Trust and the Littleton Community Farm did, putting together the event on Sunday, or on Saturday, rather, at Prouty. That was an excellent program. They did a remarkable job, everything from involving the Prouty family, who has done a remarkable amount for this town, to things for the young ones. In terms of future objectives, I think, a lot of it will touch on goals, but I have had a couple of people reach out to me about restarting a commission on accessibility, disability accessibility, something of that nature. I think we've had one in the past, and it's sort of fallen by the wayside or hasn't been actively pursued. And I've gotten the sense, particularly with the library discussion and the accessibility associated with the library, that several residents of town have identified that as a need, that we should be looking more comprehensively, not just at the library, but throughout the town. And reinvigorating the commission to do that could be.
That's
that'd
a
be
good point. That some of the ball fields and some of the athletic facilities are a challenge for folks that are
Yeah,
in a wheelchair specifically.
absolutely.
I know that some of the gates are, kind of the switchbacks are a little challenging.
And,
That's a good point.
and the Disability Commission is one of the ones that we
Right.
are seeking applications for. It's actually, when we posted the notice, we put between 5 and 13 members. We've since identified an old town meeting vote, which establishes the number at 9. So we've actually got a couple of applicants in for the Disability Commission, and you can take those up during our annual town board appointment process in June.
I think that might be a good opportunity for us to amend the number.
Right.
Because part of the reason some of these boards don't meet as frequently as they might.
Quorum issue.
Can't get quorums.
Yeah,
You have 9 to 13 folks.
They were
Not only that, you
active
can't-
not too many years
Right,
ago.
right.
yeah. And in that case, the 9 is established by a town meeting vote, so you'd have to go back and amend the bylaws to change the
Right.
number.
Yeah, so maybe under our bylaw amendments, take a look at the different boards and commissions and number of members. All right, you good, Chase? Good. Good deal. Mr. Knox?
I'm all set tonight.
Mr. Glavy?
I want to help you catch up on the agenda, so I got nothing.
It's all on your phone and your phone's dead.
Yeah, right, got it.
I had a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready. So I just wanted to touch on something I was going to bring up at our last meeting, but I decided to forego it because I wanted to get off on a good note. But I just did want to mention that there was an email sent to my employer prior to the election, actually, that wasn't shared to me till after the election, and it had to do with some things that were being said on Facebook that didn't necessarily have to do with me directly. But I just wanted to put it out there that there is a process to get in touch with the Board of Selectmen, and I would just appreciate it if people wouldn't reach out to my employer directly about anything that they feel relates to me regarding my position on the board. I know there's been some other issues with board members being mentioned on Facebook and social media, and I just think that there is a line that people need to respect. So I'm just asking people to respect that. And I just wanted to mention it tonight, just so that the person that sent the email sent it anonymously, so we couldn't track who it was, but I wanted them to know that we received it, that it was received. And thankfully, I have a wonderful employer, and they took it with a grain of salt, so they understood the source, and they appreciate me, and they respect me enough, and I just ask that people respect me as well. The other thing that I wanted to bring up on a lighter note is the Relay for Life. Last Friday, I'm sorry that I didn't attend. I really wanted to attend. I think that was a great event. They raised $48,000 for the American Cancer Society, so kudos to the students that put that together. I think it's a great event. I've spoken at that event. I've participated in that event, and I realize the work that goes into it, so I just wanted to acknowledge that and really let people know that it brings a lot of comfort and solace and support to survivors and fighters. So it really is a great community event, so thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. And that's certainly something that is near and dear to you.
Right.
And, I will echo, because you brought it up, Cindy, the respect thing. I've brought it up a couple of times when I was sitting in this seat. This is just, we're all in a great community, and we all, share the shopping aisles, and you meet each other at the post office or at the town hall or wherever it is, the athletic fields, what have you. Just, it's all about respect. Do unto others the golden rule, and just ask that you think before you hit send on some of those email or Facebook, social media posts, and we all volunteer our time, and I don't have any regrets about spending the amount of time I do working for the town. I don't think any of us do. We've put ourselves out there and stepped forward to do what we think is the best for the town. Certainly, we're open to everybody's input, but we need to respect one another in both ways. So, enough about that. A couple things I wanted to bring up is this past Friday, the Emerson Urgent Care Facility opened up. They had a ribbon cutting ceremony. I think it's just seeing the progress going on at the point, the number of cars that are up there on a daily basis, it's incredible. It doesn't matter what time of day I was coming through, moving furniture. So I passed through that way multiple times over the weekend, and that parking lot is constantly jammed. I don't know what these people, what we did prior to the point being there. It's amazing. The Courtyard Marriott, the pools was packed, there was people in there, the hotel's constantly filled. Need a couple more hotels so we can get some more room tax. But I think that, we're lucky to have a corporate partner like Sam Park and all the businesses that are down at the Point. So the Emerson Urgent Care did their ribbon cutting ceremony last Friday. We had Keith, myself, Anthony, Kirby from LCTV recorded it, and it was a nice event. And so that's something that'll be available to us for hopefully health and wellness. Also wanted to mention the middle school put on their spring production, the drama production of Charlotte's Web this past weekend. And it was I wasn't unable to make it because I was a little bit preoccupied, but Catherine Hohenschel was Charlotte, getting caught up with my CHs and SHs. Maddie Crory was Wilbur, but they had a special guest in the audience on Sunday. A woman by the name of Lindsay Morand, who is the grandniece to E.B. White, showed up at the play on Sunday and presented each of the cast members with just a small token. It was a letter from E.B. White to the students, the children of Massachusetts, and each of the leads got a special copy of Charlotte's Web. So kind of a cool event. And Steve Bergman's the director. The programs that we're able to put on in this community, it's a small community, but the drama productions, the Hillary Bridge, what she's done with the band, it's just, when you see our athletic teams competing against schools that are much larger, the lacrosse team is in the middle of that right now, playing against the likes of Westford and Concord Carlisle and competing and winning. And then seeing some of the cultural events that we are able to put forth, it's awesome. And the community really gets involved, and it's much appreciated. I know that from my kids being involved in the drama productions in the past. That's all I have. All right, so moving on, we are moving into our proposed goals for 2018. So this is item 5 on our agenda. Actually, I do have one more thing. I apologize, I just kind of brushed over this. And I just want to send condolences to the Knox family. Mr. Knox's brother John passed away this past week. And I just want to, from me, my family, and I think I speak for the whole board and the whole town, our condolences and thoughts and prayers are with you and with your family. Thank you. All right, so, Board of Selectmen goals. All right. So we each submitted our thoughts, ideas, and our plans, which included our goals for 2018. We used Mr. Bergman as our clearinghouse to avoid any open meeting law violations. And so I would offer up this one for each of you. Mr. Bergman put together a matrix for us. I think you did it.
I did.
To help us kind of navigate through the conversation relative to our goals. And it seems like the master plan and the implementation of the master plan was omnipresent. So I think that it's appropriate that is first on the list. But I would offer up the opportunity for anybody want to kind of determine how we want to move forward with this conversation, or?
If you don't mind, just because what just handed out was my late arrival, but actually it was arguably the earliest because I got it in last August. Right. I did that intently because a lot of the issues, we have made progress on them, a lot of them, but a lot of the core issues are still the same, especially from my perspective as far as a key, and I really wanted to see what everybody else submitted, and I was very happy with some commonalities here, not just on the list of items, build this project, or, study that, or, extend this, whatever it is, repair that, was the amount of times it was present everywhere, Chuck, especially in yours right off the bat, that was about process, the bigger picture, that sort of thing, and I think both Cindy and Chase and yours, you guys got right down into the weeds of, okay, it's good to have a goal, but then start anticipating the next steps. Joe, yours is like mine, a list of items we need to do, but I think it's the process is the key. And some of the things we hit on last year, which I think are, at least in part, the reason we were so active over the, following 6 months, is we recognized that as an important aspect to it. And we did a number of things, which, I'm open to a different process, but I think it was fine that we took a look at everybody's goals, settled on the common goals, figured out which ones we could identify, through a triage system first. What ones can we do right now? What ones require a longer lead line? We assigned different members, through interest or recruitment, to be responsible for it, and then we shamed ourselves into getting it done by having updates, every week. And then each of them, ultimately developed through the members' activities, kind of a goal, a plan for getting them done, which, in some cases, the submittals already, anticipate that. So I'm great on that. Beyond that, the level, beyond those projects, the thing would most like to see us address somewhat formally. I introduced some topics last year on it in my memo, but we didn't get a lot done on it, and nor did I think we would. So I'm not disappointed. But the notion of periodic organizational review. How do we manage our own time? How do we manage our agendas? How do we manage our relationship with department heads? How do we ensure more public input? Does our two of them are very timely topics that are coming up later on our agenda, is how do we maximize our online presence so that the public has its input? Is website adequacy on like that, and boom, we've got two things right on our agenda tonight. One is on website updates, and the other one is on the new accounting software, which allows for some of the transparency things we've talked about too. But I think we need to be more directly engaged in how those things are developed, and I think we also ought to, at every opportunity, make sure there's a process for getting public input, even if it's just input without any say-so. I'd love to have the input without giving up the, the ability to make decisions. But all of those things are likely to be successful if we're, if we kind of review and reform our way of handling topics. So I think that in alone, that amorphous subject, which I think last year we assigned Joe and I to it. What did we label it, Keith? We gave it a name, right? What was it? Organization and whatever. So I just think that I'd like to see that one kind of rise. Give people a little chance to think about topics that might be included there, and then make sure that stays on the radar screen, and perhaps maybe grows in its importance as the whole organizational communication, community involvement ball of wax. The other checklist, I'm fine with what everybody's got. That's it. I'll try to stay quiet for an hour.
I'm not banking on that. Okay. So, I guess one of the things that, Paul, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, that we had kind of a slate of things that we identified, and we put them out there. Keith, you've got those as well, right? What we kind of put out there last year with the accountability piece, or no? I don't mean to hit you with this right now, don't worry about it.
Basically, last year's list.
Yeah, the
last
first,
year's list with-
the column on the left is this year's goals, and the second column is proposed goals for next year.
But who was accountable for them, we pretty much know who that was in most cases, but,
I've got that.
Oh, I see, what the
was in our
assignments.
last
the
mail packet.
assignments, yeah.
Sure.
Right,
yeah.
the most important part, who's
Right.
gonna execute.
It was on an agenda, so I've got it somewhere.
It was the last meeting, I think, which isn't in my orange bag. But I think it's important to note that we had some successes. We got a lot done last year. We really did. And it's, which, if we're showing up here on a regular basis and spending a lot of time we do spend working at this job, we better be getting stuff done. So I think it's important for folks to know that there's been a lot of accomplishments. And just in looking through this, obviously the Master Plan Update Steering Committee has delivered a plan. So this is our 2030 plan. We've got something there that we will be looking to implement, and that's going to help to be part of our guiding light.
This one from our last meeting does have the assignments on it.
Assignments, yeah. Certainly the common sewer, just moving that process forward and getting to a step one, step two, and just keep that process moving. Housing production, that's something that, there was certainly a lot of activity and a lot of movement throughout the year on that. I think that certainly is not something that should go away. We need to kind of re-up our focus on that, and I know that there's some folks that are interested in being involved with that. Open space and recreation planning, certainly the purchase of the Joyce Williams property, the Boxborough Road parcel, working with DOT. Part of our agenda tonight has to do with chapter land, state-owned, town-owned chapter land. And I think we have to look at the whole picture. In the packet, we do have state-owned, chapter-owned, as well as privately owned land. So helps us to manage our resources better. And there's been a lot of deliberation, some criticism as to how things have happened, whether it be the Durkee Tree Farm, Cooper Farm, different parcels around town that, a lot of folks will say, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? So I think it's important for us to be looking at that, and it's on our agenda tonight to take a look at that and make sure that we're not looking in the rearview mirror and saying we should have after the fact. The other recreation part, certainly Alumni Field project. Whether you were for or against it, there's a project going on right down the hill right now, and it is moving forward. It is scheduled to be done beginning of September, and it is quite a project. That's going to have an impact on a number of folks in the community. Green communities, I can speak to that better, but we've $250,000 this past year in green community grants.
We got 140 initially, we just applied for another 250, and we'll be able to apply for 250 every year.
So just being aware of those and reaching out and exercising those is, we're fortunate to have the folks in place, and certainly Keith, you're on point with that as well, just making sure that we,
And continuing
Keep that
to look
drumbeat.
ahead there
Keep that
too, to
drumbeat.
ensure that we maintain our eligibility to
Yeah, absolutely.
access that money.
yeah, good point, Chase.
Right, 'cause those can change a couple of years down the road, so
Yeah.
the better we can anticipate that, the
If we keep
more
sending,
successful we'll be.
if we keep allowing Keith to go out and visit with his friend in Denver, and he'll come back with plenty of
So he
opportunities
was at the
for us.
Cannes Film Festival. Posted, yes, we can. So.
Oh, boy.
Is there Mike Mazzoni over there too? He could have nailed him for us.
We should pay more attention to those warrants when I sign those.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Look at those line items. Travel and what? Economic development, I think, is an opportunity that we certainly, it's always top of mind, but I think there's plenty of opportunities for us to improve upon that. And new website, getting that updated in a little bit. I think that's certainly going to tie into it. I think we've got a couple new members on the economic development.
I was just going to ask you that, okay.
Yeah, so, actually met somebody at the ribbon cutting at the urgent care that I would love to try to.
We could use a couple more, that's for
Entice.
sure.
I was going to say,
Do we
I've heard
need a
some
couple
people
more
say
people? I've had a couple people reach out to me, and that was one of the
right,
things
I've heard some people say they
so.
wanted to apply for that.
By all means,
Okay.
we have at least one, maybe two current vacancies, and there's a couple people that have had attendance problems, so we could probably create a couple more if need be.
Right.
Okay,
But I know Neil O'Leary has been frustrated. Some of our problems is quorum issue meeting. Anthony knows that. He's been helpful with this, but
Yeah. But that's certainly something that I'd love to be able to take some of what they've offered, and Paul, this has been kind of near and dear to you as well, and implement it, because they're putting their time and effort in as well, and I don't want to just receive a document, put it in my orange briefcase and leave it there for a year, and come back to it next year when we do our goals. Well, whatever it is.
what is the deadline for applications to be
June
submitted
2nd?
for all the committees?
Yes,
See EDC on that.
I don't
What's the
we were
rationale on
advertising.
that? Just with the holiday in the middle, I wonder whether we're giving enough time out there, especially if people are out bumping into people to apply,
Right.
whether or not we should extend
the
that a week
rationale
or
is just
so.
so
We certainly can,
Before summer
well, your
happens.
your meeting,
The
when you're
12th, right?
interviewing, is
Oh,
the 5th.
5th,
5th and the
right.
12th, so we set the Friday before then.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to double check, I'm not sure that we're advertising right now for all of the ad hoc committees.
That's what I was just going to ask
Right.
as well.
Let's see what the list is.
Is it is that a rolling application, or is it?
It certainly can be, I mean, let's see what we're checking.
Well, why don't we phrase it that way? Say, it's a rolling application. However, for the purposes of making appointments on the night of the 5th, we'll only accept those that have been in, by the
Second.
The 2nd, there you go, and,
Okay.
Typically, what we do, I mean, some of these boards, we've been advertising and re-advertising
Right.
throughout the year. This list right here happens largely to be the list of finite terms, although
Right.
there were a couple where the committees specifically contacted us and asked us to re-advertise, so.
Right. I'm just seeing a lot of activity on social media about people being interested, expressing interest in applying, so just to get it out there.
Yeah.
and that's good, but, and frankly, it doesn't often happen until people start doing that sort of thing.
Right.
So, and usually there has to be a week or two's, couple weeks follow-up before that starts, ending up in our inbox.
Right,
People like to be asked also.
Right.
right.
So if you
Okay.
you do notice somebody on social media or at the grocery store, you think they'd be interested.
Okay.
So I've got somebody on my side working on it. Hopefully she's watching. We mentioned the common sewer strategy that speaks for itself. MS4, I think is important to keep in there relative to the whole,
Well,
The whole
that's
picture,
gonna be
really.
particularly important because the state very well may take over stormwater permitting from EPA, which probably won't change the MS4 a great deal, but we won't know until the state takes it
yeah.
over, if the state.
But I think we need to be nimble and ready.
Yeah, right, we have to be prepared in implementing what we need to implement
Right.
now.
Crosstown Connect and all things transportation, commuter rail, I think we need to keep that on there. And,
I noticed that, Paul, I haven't read yours completely yet, but as far as selectmen who have identified a goal that fits under transportation, commuter rail, crosstown connect, unless Paul's got something, I don't think any of us identified that as a goal. So either we need to find someone who wants to make that a goal, or we need to evaluate if that should still be a
This is a
priority.
bit of a follow-up on a conversation we had last summer. Now, there's a bit of integration here of goals of the town, which primarily being run by department heads, Keith, others, and we don't really have a direct role in it, and then yet we don't want to lose track of them. So they're in here, but, it's, and I'm not sure this is the best way to project this. We almost need to have kind of a listing of the projects that the, department heads are pursuing, and then the things that we're doing. Merging them is, does give you the completeness, but also as you caught it, Chase, that is not any board member's particularly identified
And yet it's
project.
vitally important to what we're
Important,
doing as a
right.
town.
Yeah, and those, the entries in this block right here, I specifically added as a conversation starter, because those are important measures that we will need to be addressing in order to continue with this goal in the coming year. Fixed route service is something that we are really going to have to take a serious look at. It's something that's wanted. Facilitating the additional parking at the commuter rail station has been a goal, and I know continues to be important to the board, so. Frankly, it helps to have those things as adopted goals when the town goes to state officials and asks for help. Well, has the Board of Selectmen set it as a goal? Well, and it's important to be able to say that it is.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was a point I was going to make, and that, exactly that. The legislators were here, when we can say that this is one of our goals, and we can empower you to be to carry that torch. But it is important to us, and we hear that, and how many of you, we've all heard, we need more parking.
Yeah.
The last mile stuff, the final mile, there's, I think we all hear it, and I think, although it's not on any one of our goals, it's because frankly, Keith, you've done a good job of kind of managing that, but I do want to make sure that it does stay on there for that sole reason that when we are going for any funds, whether they be state or federal, it is identified as a goal. Roadway improvement plans, we've been on top of that. We get very consistent updates. And then with the Mass dot with Willow, that's ongoing. Complete streets. A couple of us are interested in that.
Back to roadways.
Yeah.
We do need to meet with the
Yeah, to reevaluate.
reevaluate, because people are asking that question, am I still
What's
on the
next?
list? That's
Yeah,
street
Chris
still-
Stoddard is prepared to come back to one of our meetings in June to update the board and get some direction on the roadway. plan.
Priorities.
Yeah, he had the preliminary discussion on that,
Yeah.
but, I mean, there's been no roads. You had Chris's proposal, which you had some questions about, and that he's done work on, I know, and had discussions with the water department, for example, about what their schedule of water main replacement projects is, but we'll bring it back for direction and decision-making on the road plan in the next meeting or two, in June, early June.
Okay, that'd be good. Certainly, we get those phone calls as well. Next one's a big one. Looks like it's a lot of folks interested. Elder and human service needs. Certainly the space needs study that we're undergoing right now is going to address some of this.
Right.
But, so for proposals, from last year's standpoint, we increased senior citizen tax work-off abatement program from $55,000 to $80,000. I think it's important to look at that, and what percentage does that bring us to, Keith? Because I know that we have a limit that we can go to.
We can go to
If we
200.
fully maximized, we probably need to appropriate 120,000.
If we fully maximized. Do we have the need for that? Are the people that aren't able to take full advantage of it because we're at our max and we have folks that are being left out?
Everybody that applies to be in the program
Gets it.
is allowed in the program. It's a matter of, the
Where the funds
maximum
come.
benefit would be $1,000, so they're getting
Okay.
somewhere in the neighborhood of 800.
Okay.
So
this-
people are limited in some capacity.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I think, I'd like to see that stay on there. Take another look at that. So again, just looking back at some of what we have done, certainly transportation, staffing the driver, new van is being manned so that we can actually use it. And there's a good dialogue, I think, right now between Board of Selectmen and all the departments, but certainly COA has been, we've had a lot of opportunities to speak with and to the folks on the Council on Aging and friends of COA. Public safety strategy and plans, we got our two chiefs are here tonight. Certainly, Chief Wazinski is undergoing a huge goal right now in building his, our fire station. It's making nice progress. Looks good. We got Vertex on the job, making sure that those guys are on point and keeping us as close to on schedule as we can. But as far as public safety strategies, one of the things that we identified was, we did put our hazard mitigation plan in place. I think we voted this last meeting and 2 meetings ago to adopt that. It was last meeting. We also, with the chiefs and actually Chairman Hebert and Selectman Carr were involved with an opioid PSA, public service announcement, that will be airing, I believe, pretty soon. Chief, do you have any ideas on?
It's almost any time now, they put out a final review.
Been edited.
Last week, so I'm gonna imagine any time we'll start running.
Yeah, so there's certainly, anytime you turn on the news, you see something on one of the news channels about opioid addiction and substance abuse disorder. And If any of us thinks that it's not in Littleton, we're naive. So we are trying to do everything we can to educate folks, not just children, but parents and teachers and law enforcement. Don't call them paramedics yet, but folks on the ambulance, EMS. And one of the things that we did accomplish this year is the two Chairman Hebert and Selectman Carr put together that package where they actually brought in a dad who recently lost his 20-year-old Dean's List student, and he talks openly and honestly about what he went through and the effects it had on him and his son. And so it's kind of a scared straight. And I think that we need to make sure that we stay focused on these kinds of things and public service announcement and working in collaboration with our public safety officials and doing reach out in collaboration with other communities, because it knows no bounds. And we've lost too many young children, even from Littleton, over the course of the last year. One's too many. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to educate our community and avoid any more problems with that.
Right.
Police accreditation, certainly, we talked about that earlier when the chief was up. And let's see, team training associates. And Esmond did do some training, right, with the employees, the staff. I think that was early on last year, where she did some, no? I thought she brought someone in to do some training.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I got some ups and downs. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
We've got a number of training things going on.
Yeah, okay, so we wanted to make sure that we're giving our employees the tools they need in order to do the job best of their ability. Chief?
The team training associates up there, that was, they helped create the strategic plans for both departments.
Okay.
Were instituted by the board and the departments.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you,
Last
yes,
year. That's
yes.
what team training is up there.
Thanks for coming. Thank you. This is that organizational review, Keith, you alluded to earlier.
Yes.
Reorganization of the highway department. We have certainly realized some benefit in reorganizing the highway department. I think that there's benefits to us financially, certainly. I think Chris has been a great fit. He's been a good addition to the team. I think everybody would agree with that. He certainly saved us some money, so it's been a fiscal plus. But I also think there's a benefit where I think Jim Clyde is in a better place now, and he's,
He's still with
taking-
us.
He is,
He's just,
he was a ticking time bomb, and he was grumpy, and he's better now. I actually saw him smile at the election.
yeah.
Can I jump in here
You may,
too?
go ahead.
The organizational review, now here's similar to the point Chase had brought up earlier. I have a problem with this matrix. I hated the Matrix movie too, but it's a useful document for keeping track of everything the town's involved in, especially through the point of view of the departments. But as far as the board's thing, last year I included organizational review in my memo, and the things I cited were need for more interactive website, need for more transparency through posting of spending and other financials real time, and for investigating the increased accountability, planning, and oversight through a ComStat program. And I'll get into that later, what that's all about, data-driven accounting, accountability, oversight. But that doesn't appear here. I mean, there's no departments working on it. Our board didn't do anything on it, so it disappears. And all these things are good and they're legitimate, but when we start meshing what the departments are working on and what the board wants to pursue, then, there's potential for things getting,
Well, we also own
Skipped.
some of that, and we're accountable for.
I know, I'm bringing this up as a criticism of
Handing-
ourselves.
Okay.
It's almost like we need another column.
Well,
No,
look,
I mean, it's, certainly, Paul, your column can be filled in with exactly that.
Well,
and
same as
educating us
last
on
year,
what that is.
it was there.
Right, but if we didn't do anything on it, we need to make sure that it stays on there. And right now, we don't have it on there, and if you think it should be on there, then we need to add it on there into your column and kind of do this meshing.
I'm resisting the column.
I know you
have
are.
a different, I have
I
a
know you
different
are.
approach, but
I mean, my understanding of this is really to get all 5 of our ideas on paper, to ultimately get rid of the individual columns, build a more comprehensive fiscal year 2018 column, based on whatever each individual contributed.
With accountability.
But then, yeah, then add accountability. But your point about meshing the administrative component of that and who's working on that, if one of us is not running point on it, but Keith's running point on it, Anthony's running point on it, that should all be folded in.
Right, and so it serves as a master list of everything the town's working on, whether it's board or departments. But it doesn't help is, well, how do you do what's next? You know, what's the plan for going forward? We have a lot of detail on, you know, what we've done, you know, that's fine, and we have a lot of detail in a topical level of what we need to do, but.
right, I mean, I think-
You know, okay, let's turn the page on that, and then where's the plan that each of, you know, who's.
Well,
Right.
right, I mean, I
That's-
think
that's
here
part of this
we've got,
exercise.
we've got goals, and then underneath goals are the specific objectives that
Sure.
need to be met to achieve those overarching goals.
Is that a
right?
plan to do all of
And
the
that's,
above?
that's the next step, right, is what are the discrete measurable units?
Right.
Go ahead.
Whatever we get through here, I'd love to hear, especially from the two new members, because their input is entirely new. I mean, you know, for what it's worth, yours, mine, and Joe's are all, you know, versions of what we had last year. I'd like to hear from them, but I'd also like to suggest that maybe when we're done with this, and I open it up for board input, is maybe we take in everybody's input, and you and I can go off and talk about what assignments people might, or people should express what interest they have in assignments, and then come back with a proposal for, you know, here's like the top 6, 7 things that the commonly identified or we think we should do, and who's
Under
expressed
each
interest
one of
on
the
it.
major headings, each
Yeah.
one of the 11,
Well, I mean, I don't know what
Eleven
form
major
it'll be in, but just so that people say, hey, you expressed interest in this, so did so-and-so, why don't the two of you work on that?
Right.
Just kind of like what we did last year.
Right, exactly. You know, just rather than do it, last year I remember painfully doing it, you know, on the fly, whereas it could have just as easily been done by a,
Assignment.
yeah, go off and come back with a proposal where people can kick around. You know, if you don't like it, you don't like it, I don't want to do that. You know.
Jumping
oh, I
off,
like that, I like making one.
jumping off point, so it's, okay. Yep. Cindy and Paul, you guys have this one, Cindy, I'd really rather do this instead of, okay.
Yeah, or in the interim, everybody should send an email into Keith saying, what you know, I'd really want to be involved in this, you know.
Okay.
You know, that kind of
Right.
thing, so.
I would favor the first rather than the second. A, so Keith doesn't have to spend any more time herding cats. And two, because I think it'd be.
I just mean for
productive.
dissemination purposes,
H-E-R-D, not
everything has to
H-U-R-T.
It goes to me, and then I can just put it in a form that
Right.
feeds back to all. I think one of the remarkable things about tonight is that on 1 week's, really on 1 week's notice, a little over 1 week's notice, that we had so much information and compiled about what your proposed goals are, because frankly, we didn't have this much information. That's why we set the goals in August
Right.
last year, because it was June, and then it was July before we actually were getting input. So you're way ahead of the
Oh,
curve now.
absolutely. And, you know, people fresh off the campaign trail, they both have been, you know, out there talking to people, and so it's in your mind, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like you said, we've had years gone by with blank columns for the first month.
Right.
Look, I hope I don't come across as too negative. I think we've been
Not at all.
I think
very,
it's-
very,
No, not at all.
let's take a look at the past year we've had, was terrific, everybody.
Really was.
The process, for me, what was very helpful last year is that there were goal champions assigned. And so, and the list was,
We've got it here, so I think
yeah,
you
the
even gave
list
it to us a
is,
couple weeks ago.
yeah, I just put it up on somewhere here. No, that's Google. Anyway, there's a goal list, which,
It was item 2B from the May 8th
here
meeting.
it is.
There it is.
Here's your list of goals from '07, and following each goal was the name of who the selectmen were that assigned it. If you had not done that, I don't think we would have made any progress, for example, on the sewer project. Because it needed some specific direction and really policy, political guidance, really. And that we could bring it to a point, but that it needed to be championed in order to bring it forward. So I found that very, very helpful. And the other thing that's helpful about this list, that it's your expression of telling the administration what's important, telling the town and the administration what's important, and that even if it's things that we're working on anyway, if they're important things that they need to be in your adopted goals, even if even if it's staff that's doing them and then bringing them back to you for final approval, because it's a signal that just how important it is. But there are plenty of things here on the list, and I think it'd be worth going through and figuring out which ones are the ones that aren't going to get done to your satisfaction without your involvement.
Right.
And to sort of focus on some of those to make sure we do what you want us to do.
I think what's important too, that we've got to a stage now where we have main goals and main topics. It wasn't that many years ago that we'd
all over
come,
the place.
it was all over the place. Someone would come in with 53 things that they wanted to have done, and some of it was talked about being like a stop sign at the end of this road, so it wasn't goals, it was just little things like that. So it's nice to have it back in main areas that we can go and work on.
Much more focused.
Right.
Well, we're farther along at this meeting than we were in August of last year.
Yes,
Right.
you are, yeah.
So we can take the rest.
In fact, I hadn't even,
Take the rest of the night
Take
off.
the summer off.
yeah, I didn't even have the expectation that you'd do anything more than just check in on this agenda item tonight, and you make a lot more, able to make a lot more progress on it than before. I think that the next step would be, since we do have other
Right.
items that are queuing up, is to carve out some time at either the meeting on the 5th or the 12th of June to do the sort of systematic review that you're just talking about. So,
And fine, I would say we'll put some time on the 5th if we've got a spot there, and reiterate what I said a moment ago. If everybody wants, if they already know a project they want to have a direct hand in, send it
Yeah,
in
I
to
mean,
Keith, and
and you
then,
know, it's interesting, like, I left off certain goals, like sewer. Paul put sewer down, but
You know what, I
something
just-
that I'd love to be
don't
involved
presume
with.
that. I would be happy to hand it over to you as long as it does,
He'd
as long as it goes
Not
forward.
getting beat up over
He'd
that.
hand,
You know, I mean,
Paul
now-
handed
now's
it
the
off.
time to have an engineer
I
look
know,
at
this
it.
is a great time, now that you've done all
It's
the
all the
hard
nuts and bolts I could care less about,
Thank goodness he handed it off to Melissa, or we wouldn't be,
Well, that way, there was
Going
a
forward.
theory behind that, and it proved out pretty well. But then, Chuck, you and I can get together and make the assignments,
I like it. Yeah, that's a good
or
idea.
suggestions of them.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
all right.
So, rather than.
You okay with that?
Yeah, so, yeah, that's perfect.
So, one of the things I did want to get over tonight is just kind of talk about, we've done a lot of good stuff this year. The fact, Keith, you said it well. We made people accountable, and had we not done that, we identify what's important gets done, right? And once you assign somebody who's accountable for it, that's how we get it done. So, take a look at those, tweak them if you wish.
So are we going with the email key, what's the
email me
the
and I'll
next step?
put it
Email
in.
Keith,
Paul and I will get together, we'll make assignments, and then we'll
And
we'll make
hopefully have a
determination
next
at
step on the
June
5th, right?
Yeah.
Deadline for emails to Keith.
well, it's a short work week. I'm taking Friday off, I'm taking Monday off. So
Taking Monday off.
Thursday by noon?
Yeah,
Fine.
if you, really, Thursday by noon, I've got
Okay.
MAPC annual meeting that morning, but, and it's a very short work week next week for getting the agenda packet out for the 5th, so. But sooner we get them, I can get this, I can revise this matrix and get it back out.
So that's gonna remain open then. So make sure that goes on to the 5th. All right, next up, we have chapter land, item number, packet, item number 6. This is a mapping of chapter land. Chapter land is referred to as, chapter 61 land is forestry, 61A is agriculture and horticulture, and 61B is recreation. So we've got some maps. Keith, is this something you could drive for us, or is this something you just?
Yeah, the finance department, yeah.
Okay, good.
Basically, we've been tracking the chapter land in this format since 2009. And
Yeah.
it's just a helpful visual to see
It is.
what the acreage changes each year. And it surprisingly, it does change every year. So I wanted to highlight the changes from fiscal 2016 to 2017. And basically, we went down in our total acreage. We had 1,556 acres, just over that in 2016 in chapter land across all three categories. And in fiscal 17, we ended with 1,442 acres. The biggest drop was in total 61A, or agricultural. We lost 82 acres in that category. We lost just over 10 acres in forestry, and we lost about 42 acres in recreation. I did give you the individual parcel changes, so you could see the street locations for them, and any notes that I might have had regarding the change. Over the same period of time, it was referenced just, later in the week that maybe we ought to add in the town-owned land, just to show the context of that. So the town-owned land over the same period of time increased by just about 36 acres, primarily through some donations or some acquisitions that were provided for by development. So we picked up, again, just about 36 acres, and I've highlighted the parcel numbers and the addresses. The largest pieces being on Oak Hill and Foster Street. The big question is not, necessarily what happened last year, it's kind of what's coming up on the highlight for the next year. So chapter land, when you're applying to be in the chapter land program, it's an application that needs to be done annually. Typically, people apply by March for their status, but that's not the deadline. They can apply as late as the following February. So even though most people have filled out their application for 2018 status, it's not past the deadline yet. There are 3 parcels that I've highlighted at the end of the memo that have not completed their application status, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're withdrawing from their chapter status. They have until February 1st of 2018 to actually apply and meet the deadline. So some of these parcels are large. There's a 42-acre piece on Tehadawon, there's a 20-acre piece on Hartwell, and there's an 11-acre piece on Spectacle Pond Road. And they're in either 61B or 61A. So those are kind of the ones that the town maybe would want to look to see if there's any interest in it, if they want to, approach ownerships, to see if any changes are going to be had. Just because the owner doesn't apply for chapter land doesn't mean we get a right of first refusal. There has to be an activity taking place. So they need to change their use. If they keep it in open space and don't do anything and just withdraw from chapter land, the town does not necessarily have the right of first refusal. There's no action being taken. If the owner wants to sell it to a developer within a certain period of time, then we may or may not have our right of first refusal. So it's really triggered by a change of use. So just not enrolling in chapter land doesn't mean we necessarily have any rights.
And one of the things that had come out of this, when the subject of chapter land came up last year, we thought it would be a good idea to have an annual review of changes in chapter land, because it's sort of an early warning signal of what properties might, underlying might, become available. And we had others over time that have been taken out of chapter land, but we hadn't really focused on that. There was, you didn't get a presentation that said this piece of property is out, and the Durkee Farm in particular was one where by the time it was in front of the planning board and being developed, it was 2 years beyond when it had come out of chapter status, so it was beyond the right
So we had no
of
rights.
first refusal. We wanted to establish just a routine procedure of annually going over the list, and that's the information that's in this update from the Finance Department. We also attempted to do something, didn't work. Sounded like a better idea than it ended up being, but we took the data. This is a very pretty map. It's very high quality. It's the map that's in, this map happens to be one that's in the master plan for 2016 and shows the chapter land and town and state-owned land. And we got the base map, and from which, with the data from the assessors, we were able to have Chris Stoddard plot the way the land looks like for this year. compared to last year. Last year's in the master plan report. This year is here. It's a little difficult to manipulate in this format. But we have the data. It'd be my hope that once we're advancing the web interface for all sorts of things, including GIS, that you'll be able to put a layer on that says, what did chapter land look like in a given year? And then you can see what is added or taken away. So you can see changes from one year to the next. But we have the data, but it's just a matter of putting it in a format and accessibility where folks can get a hold of it and take a look at it.
Take action if necessary. Okay, so once we get that data, what is our plan to address it? It looks awesome,
Yeah,
and if we're able to do that overlay and figure out, okay, we went from here to here.
well, it's the next step, that if it's, that if we have the data, we can add layers of data onto our interactive GIS website. We've asked Nancy to add other, layers in the past, and that's happened. I think the chapter land status in a given year, from one year to the next, would be a worthwhile layer for us to look at adding, and we do have the information.
So the objective is to kind of throw a flag up and say, let's keep an eye on this, let's reach out to this property owner, or
Well, that gets into another topic, which is the Community Preservation Committee and Finance Committee and others have brought to our attention, and the master plan as well, and that is the need to have some kind of a process for prioritizing what open space purchases you want to look at, to the extent that chapter land we tend to look at chapter land as a potential, not for development, but as a potential for preservation. And the need has been stated most recently in the master plan document itself to come up with a priority, a method for prioritizing what lands we want to acquire. And so what chapter lands might become available can be something that the town looks at in any given year.
And I would note the master plan, the master plan ranked high, medium, and low priorities, and that was one of the highest priority ranked. And macros.
The other level of information that we got here is town-owned and state-owned land, and one of the issues there that we've received some feedback about is to think about taking a systematic look at what the town's holdings are, or what state land that might become surplus, and are there other needs, not just for preservation, but perhaps for development, whether it's for affordable housing or for some other purpose that the property might be made available for some other, meeting some public policy purpose. And that would also be something that we'd need to spend some quality time on.
right, yeah.
But right, first the understanding of where the pieces are.
Certainly.
We've got the tools. I mean, we've advanced to the point where we've got the mapping tools that are available to help us aid with that view.
Yeah, a couple of questions on specific parcels that I don't recognize. Where is Edward Drive?
New development off Whitcomb.
Off Whitcomb? Okay. And how about Rivera Drive? Just a test that I can.
Riviera?
Oh, it says Rivera, but maybe it's Riviera. And I'm also curious about the
Chiefs? Awesome. They should probably call 411 before they call 911?
I think it's a paper road, and
Oh,
the
okay.
parcel was donated.
All right, how about, what was the reason for the unbuildable status of the 91 Bruce Street property? That's pretty sizable. Any idea on that one?
What is
Well, the
this?
Board of Assessors, this is actually a joint meeting, right?
Yeah,
The Board of
well,
Assessors,
we
so,
could-
yeah, so I apologize, I
Here,
didn't acknowledge you guys.
We changed from chapter to unbuildable.
Is that Keeze's property, Joe?
Keys' property is,
17 changes.
it's shown on 16.
Where would 91
number?
be? Not 91? Bruce?
91 is probably Jimmy Pickett's there.
Pick it, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's-
right on the corner there.
Yeah.
But that's way more than 10 acres.
Why would it be unbuildable?
I don't know, but I mean, if you look at the lot at the corner of Harvard and Bruce,
Yeah,
and flip the two maps back and forth, but that's way more, I mean, that's 40 acres of land.
No, it's a big pot.
Yeah.
I think I believe it was taken out of the chapter status because the value as unbuildable land was less than what they would be giving, paying as chapter land in taxes. The
but,
unbuildable status brought
but
the
again,
value.
what property are we talking about?
Is that,
The corner of Bruce and Harvard? Pickett's?
Pickett's.
That's what I was wondering.
Is that 91? Wouldn't 91 be on the other end? No?
No,
I mean, your side, right?
It's,
Okay, whatever, I'm just curious.
And I had a question about that Edward Drive. So the property that was removed, it says 18 acres removed town land. Was that just a misdesignation? Because it doesn't show up in the following table, or at least I don't see it showing up in the following table of land added to the town.
Which property was that?
The Edward Drive, 18 acres of Edward Drive, removed town land.
Was that donated to the town when we subdivided?
Is Edward Williams, maybe? Eddie Williams?
it might be removed from chapter land for being donated to the town, but we haven't got the deed finalized yet. There are other
Oh, okay.
parcels,
There is
like
some open
Boxborough
space.
Road, where the town acquired in the fall. It's not in the town-owned land list because
Gotcha.
the
Right,
paperwork
paperwork
isn't
isn't done yet.
finalized.
Okay. So we would expect to see some of those
Yes,
crop up.
next year, yeah. Or the next update.
Anybody from the Board of Assessors have anything?
Fred's always got something to say. Fred, you got nothing?
Step up.
All right.
Monty promised me we wouldn't have to talk tonight.
I didn't.
He just wants it put back on the tax rolls, right? So-
Well, that's the possibility of, with the town-owned land, if we were able to do something.
We had looked at, we had the abutter, the tax title abutter lot sales program, which it was a handful of properties that I think we sold.
This one's been a dozen of them.
Yeah. And that had the limit of, it was under 5,000 square feet. It was-
4,000 and change.
Yeah. We may want to look at other town-owned properties that, I mean, we brought to town meeting a specific program.
Right.
Where if you met those criteria, then we could add properties to that program. There may be other programs or ideas we want to bring
Outside
to
of
town
those
meeting,
parameters.
outside of those, and have town meeting authorize them to be disposed of with a different set of restrictions or parameters. So-
can you put the map back up? Because there's something off Wickham Avenue that shows town-owned land, and I think it's a brand-new development. Right here. I think that's where the new development is. Not right now.
Goes over to Oak Hill?
Yeah. Because I think that's where the road goes in off Wickham Avenue to that new development.
What's the parcel ID, Joe?
I can't
Can't see
Can't
that?
tell from this scale.
Oh, I thought it was on the list.
No, I just
No, it's the
saw it on the
color.
map.
The color code, it says, code here is if it's in red, it's town-owned, but
I mean, it might be R 12330.
what's the street address?
Just Oak Hill Road. That's 20 acres, which that
That looks like
piece
it's-
looks to be
yeah.
about 20 acres.
Yep.
Town-owned land, Oak Hill.
You have a size for how big the town parcel is?
19.2 acres, if I'm reading the right one off this sheet correctly.
1440.
You said it's 19.2.
Must be tiny because it's not showing up here.
So we want to make sure that we're keeping track of this on an annual basis. Anytime we see any crazy wild swings, we want to
And as
bring
I
them to our
said,
attention.
the three at the bottom, those are the outliers this year, right now.
Okay. So do we want to, do you think there's any benefit in us reaching out to those owners, or?
Well, let me just say, for the record, I don't believe there's anything going on with the first one, that
195 to one?
right, probably just will come in later in the cycle, but if there's ever a discussion of that property, let me know, and I'll make sure I stay out of it, since that's not my property directly, but I am a relative.
46 Hartwell. 61 acres, the one that goes down Cricket Lane? 11 acres? Spec Pond, Cricket Lane, that whole,
It must be
Yeah,
down the
big
end
field.
of Cricket Lane there. Oh, you think it's the field off Cricket Lane?
yeah, but it has frontage on Spec Pond, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, so they have until February 1st, 2018, so we're a ways away from. If they don't reapply, that's when the right of first refusal.
May start. I mean, if they keep it as
Right.
open vacant property, they can
So
do
what's
that
it-
and you won't get your right of first refusal.
Right, but we can engage them at any time.
So what's the timeline in which we might reach out?
I'm not sure who is the appropriate person. Maybe it's the assessors, perhaps the Board of Selectmen, I'm not sure who.
Revisit this in a couple months maybe and see if they've applied?
Any advice?
Yeah, I mean, I can let you know if, at a certain date if they hadn't applied yet. But like we discussed, they have until.
February of 18, yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind having conversations with them prior to February.
Right.
So if they don't reapply in, say, by September,
okay.
is that reasonable? Then we can revisit it and have that conversation. Conversely, if they do apply, maybe just throw Keith a note and say, take this one off the list.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think the broader context is that where chapter land is just but one component of the land that the town might look at that it wants to acquire, is to include a larger group, the open space recreation committee, the conservation commission, community preservation committee, as well as the assessors. I think there are a number of departments that we'd want to, and boards that we'd want to include on this idea of coming up with a process for prioritizing what we do in acquiring properties.
So that's,
And we could use some gold champions on that one, I think.
yeah, I think that's probably, Chase, I mean.
Because it's a
we-
lot,
we-
because it'd be a lot.
I did make the mistake of writing that down, so I think I'm gonna have to own that one.
Because it's definitely, that's moving into the category of making policy decisions. We can get you the data, we can get the data in a more usable and friendly and interactive form, but as far as, the deciding.
No process in
You know,
place.
Well, and that's,
That goal was evident last year, was evident in the master plan process too, and I know that the Open Space Committee has made an improvement on their lack of prioritization, but I still think it can be more finite.
but I am sensitive to the individual landowners' constraints, that they don't want to even sense that we're carving up their land. So a generic list of priorities, what do we value most, what do we value least, and, what can we score? How can we score this? So a piece of property becomes available, where does it
lie?
Where does it fit? Based on an objective set of criteria that are made independent of a particular parcel. But that's probably.
All right, so I think I think that discussion will come up during the goals, goal setting and assignments. All right, thank you for joining us.
Anything else they want to add?
Anything else, since you guys are here, is there anything else you want to offer us? Any?
No.
Giving you the mic, Fred.
He's still in shock from last night's Celtics game, isn't that right, Fred?
I don't want to say anything. Like I slept through that.
Oh.
That's probably why they won.
That maybe so. All I know is that at 12:01, they billed me for the next game's tickets. They wasted no time.
All right. Town website update. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Kathy. Bonnie.
Thank you all.
Next to Steve Nancy, come on.
Mr. Benuti's got the controls.
We're up and entering the outer limits.
That's the fun presentation.
Final Frontier. All right, so we're looking at a website redesign, website update, and in the interest of us being more communicative and open and transparent and all the other.
Yep. We've already covered two of the goals that Paul mentioned are covered here, so we're right.
No questions?
Getting ready to.
Well, we have underscored.
Write these down
one
as goals so we can check them off.
No, my concern was having public input in this, and this looks like a finished product. Was our
It's
public
far
input?
from finished.
Well, then,
What we've done, and Keith asked us to provide the board with an update of where we are so far in the process. Nancy's put together a little team here at Town Hall, herself, Anthony, Diane, and me, and before he left, Clancy was involved.
Sounds like an 18.
Some of it certainly is. We don't have any B teams.
I like it.
C's on the other hand.
Oh, boy, you're in trouble now.
We have,
Second meeting, you gotta be careful. Creep, crawl, walk, run.
I'm present, though.
we've selected virtual towns and schools as the provider, the developer of the site. They're located right in Boxborough. The largest provider of municipal sites in the Northeast. This is just a little sample of some of the cities and towns that they deal with. There's many more. You see, they added 45 clients in the last 3 years. Yes, sir.
Give their name to the Economic Development Committee. Maybe they'd look up a space in Littleton. Right.
Well, we'll show you a little site that they have for economic development that helps a little later on. One of the advantages that we've had from, as you see, so many towns have gone with them, is we're able to go to some of these existing sites that use this developer and kind of pick and choose some of the
What you
things that
like,
we
what you
like
don't.
the
Great.
best. And that's how we came up with some of the things that you'll see tonight. What we've prompted the redesign here is some of the comments that we've received on our site, and Diane, unfortunately, is the recipient of most of those
calls. The inability to get to minutes and agendas easily. Calendars are hard to use, no email alerts, social media, the design of the site, there's too many clicks to get from one place to another. Things aren't easily found. So in going through the tools that are available from the developer and things that we've discussed internally and how we see the site being designed, we've kept all these things in mind, and hopefully we're going to be able to respond to a lot of these concerns from the citizens. This is a mock-up of our new homepage that we've basically designed. This is from the developer. We've gone back and forth many times, and we've decided on, this is the design that we feel is most suitable for us, and we can go through some of the things that we like about it. Up the top, the main navigation, up the top in that blue section, right now they're set at the ones that we have now. We're thinking of possibly changing some of the makeups of those things, but it'll be on every screen, no matter what, so the ability to navigate from page to page will be there. And as you scroll down on the page, that top header will collapse a bit, but it'll always be present, so the page will scroll underneath that header. So the ability to get anywhere fast, no matter where you are on the page, will be there. Those topics open up, instead of in a list form straight down, they open up wide, so you'll be able to see everything all in one little box that opens up underneath it. The other thing that we like about this is the Find It Fast button in the regular search box. So to find something on the site, if you kind of know what it is, you can use the regular search button up the top, or that Find It Fast, where we can customize that expanding box to places that people use the most. We can use the analytics from the current site to populate that and say, okay, these are the things that people use. And as we get this site up and running and we see pages changing, we can change those things. But again, that Find It Fast will be things like Board of Selectmen, agendas and minutes, things like that, tax collector, online payments, and so on.
Have you guys tested the search feature? You know, some websites' internal search feature is essentially useless. Where, you know, some websites, it's easier to search their website via Google than it is their own website.
I think those right now is a Google.
It's a Google search.
It is, okay, so it runs under Google. Great.
The 6 buttons right in the center of the page are, again, navigation buttons, the most popular things on the site, and again, we just selected these just for the mock-up. But they are kind of the things that you want to highlight on the page. So again, another easy way to navigate to the site. Bottom section, on the left, news and announcements that will be updated as things happen in town. And we're showing 2 separate calendars. Public meetings and community events, and we'll get into a lot of the calendar talk. But what that'll be able to do, that will show that the next upcoming 3 meetings that are happening on each side are 3 community events, and you'll be able to hover over a date. For example, they're hovering over May 5th there, showing you everything that's happening on that date. And those are clickable links, so you'll be able to click on that and take you straight to that page for that event or that meeting and show the agenda that's listed there once it's posted. You see down the very bottom there, it says all public meetings, all community events. Anything that happens on this site is controlled out of this master calendar. So as a public meeting is posted, it's posted into this calendar, and then it's filtered out to those 2 calendars you see on the homepage, and also to each department that has something. So the Board of Selectmen's page will have a Board of Selectmen calendar that's just another filtered calendar from here. This calendar site, you could filter it by, you could see it by month, day, year, or in a list view. You could filter it by the type of event, either a meeting or an event or anything else we define. You could go to the board or department and filter that way, and you'll just see those events happening on this calendar. And you can actually go straight to that link. There'll be hot links straight to the page that's either, the meeting or the event.
And you can subscribe to, good,
That's the next thing.
I'll leave it up to you, Steve.
You'll be able to. I'm anticipating your questions, John. You'll be able to sign up for a variety of alerts, basically anything that we allow them to, either meetings, agendas, legal notices, town announcements, news, departmental news. So the person will be able to put their email address, say they want an alert when that happens. As soon as an agenda, for example, is posted to the website, an email will go out and alert the person you've signed up for the Board of Selectmen agendas, and one's been posted. I'll show you a couple of examples.
Right.
This is an email alert for a town event for the upcoming Memorial Day Parade. There's so this is an actual email that the developer set up for us, is what they'd see. So it's easily recognizable that it's coming from the town seal. That read more would be a link into the website that had more information about the parade. For an agenda, there's a sample for a selectmen's meeting agenda. Click that link again, and it takes you to a landing page, and this is a sample from another town, just the guts of it, but it'll be a separate page for the meeting, and there's a link there for the agenda that once it's posted, you'll be able to see it. So again, an easy way to get that, an email notification, one click brings you straight to the page.
I'm sure the list of subscriptions is ever growing, but it would probably be good to include public safety in there, police and fire.
We can construct that page however we want,
Sure.
whatever
Yeah,
we decide.
the page that was there, again, was just
Yeah,
stolen
right.
from another town, that's all it was, so.
Yeah, in many
As most of
cases, what
these
this is,
pages
it's, that what we did was to go through identification, what are the problems that we're hoping to solve with the redo of the website, and then to show how this vendor has clients, other towns that have solved those problems in particular ways, but we haven't, we don't have a final design of our
And nothing's
website.
live, so.
Yeah, this is just.
Static.
This is like, here's a problem, and then here's some solutions that could be imported from other active websites.
Social media is becoming more and more of a presence in
I think it's a
town.
fad.
So until that fad goes away,
He's in the office for, it's a 4-year term, so.
we can show these things in a couple of ways. The town of Franklin has chosen to just provide links to different Twitter and Facebook accounts that their departments have. The town of Air, on the next page, has chosen to really embed two of the links right into their website. So they have their Facebook feed and Twitter feed right on the page. We could do one, we could do both, we could combine them onto one page. One of the important things that we've also discussed before we provide links to Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts is to come up with a social media policy in town. There's so many committees that are coming up with their own Facebook page now and different Twitter feeds in town. We need to control that and standardize those things and what goes out there.
Will that regulate my MySpace page? Or?
So you're the one to say.
I'm the guy.
Another issue was the design of the site to make sure that it conformed to whatever device we were looking at it for. And this is an example from the town of Franklin again. Their main page, both on an iPad and from a phone. Accessible, everything shows up nicely. You can see the links even on the phone with the 6 different tabs that are there.
I just thought I heard you say that all the selectmen get iPads?
No.
I didn't, I misheard that, okay. Save on a lot of
You have to
paper.
turn, you have to
Save
turn it
on a lot
in
of
for the
paper.
paper. Yeah, well, we can have that discussion about weaning you off paper. Weaning
There
us,
is
us all off paper.
One of the modules that this developer does have is a electronic agenda or a package. So everything can just be right here and it's right online. Everything's electronic. We want to make sure that department pages are all standardized,
top.
so everything will, again, look the same. We're striving for a consistent look and feel throughout the site. Links will be on both sides, on the left and the right. We're trying to get away from hyperlinks within the text. So anything that's necessary will be on the links that appear on the left. On the news side, if the town clerk had a calendar feed, the little calendar would show up there with the pertinent meetings or events that happen at that time. Staff contacts as well as board and committees, and you talked about some boards and committees and some openings tonight. This is another module that's available to us. It's a central database of boards. It keeps track of terms, expiration dates, memberships, provides the town clerk with all the necessary contact information, and just a resident can go in and run a list of expiring terms, and everything will come up by year of terms that are expiring or what boards and committees have vacancies right now.
Going to a database on this is going to be
Overnight.
very, very significant, because right now it's one step up above. We have word process, it's a manual system that we
Word perfect?
manage in word processing. So we have to manually update each of our, when you get a town board control sheet with the information about term expirations and the rest of it, all of that stuff is maintained by hand now, and we'd really like to go to a database where reports are automatically
Get them off the
generated.
Tandy.
Yeah.
And the good thing about this, it's maintained in one spot. So as an election
Repository,
happens,
yeah.
it automatically filters down to that particular page. So this election, so Cindy and Chase's name would then appear on the Board of Selectmen's site once this database is updated.
Instead of my going in at 10:30 on election night and manually updating the roster, so
Appreciate you doing that.
you were the chair right away. So chair pro tem,
That was out like real time, as soon as you took that
real
seat.
time.
Right? It was like Alexander Haig.
Some of the other features that we could possibly fit in, you talked earlier tonight about messages to the Board of Selectmen. He has a centralized approach to send an email message to every member at once.
This was an interface that the town of Franklin has. They have a town council, which is why you see the word council up there. I'm not sure what it looks like on the receiving end, though. That's what it looks like when you enter it in the website. I think we'd have to do some more research about what capabilities are available, but also it would depend on how the board would like to receive the information as well. We have right now, there's an email address that's selectmen@littletonma.org, which is it's only a forwarding address. It's used officially in a number of locations. The state sends us documents there, but it goes to me, or it went to Jen or Clancy, and it goes to our office, and then we forward it off to you at your individual email addresses. There are other things we can do you could be logging into a place to look at them. It really depends on, we can keep you from being inundated, but we can.
The system that we use at my company is very similar look. The GUI is a little different, but you end up just getting all the contact information is just formatted differently with a message, And depending upon whether or not we sign in or not, we get those alerts. It's basically permissioned. So if we choose to log into this, it makes us available. Or we can do like you're talking about, Keith, where there is a surrogate, where it would go to one or two email addresses, and then that would then.
Right, and that's really your pleasure. I mean, we do have the capability to give you, our town domain email addresses, but then you've got to either have those, you've got to then decide how you want to receive that.
Right.
You could put it on your personal device. I've got my town email address along with my personal ones and this one on this device that I own. Hillary, but that it's a way to, it really depends on how you want to receive it.
They also have the capability in another module for a live blogging session. So, selectmen are available for blogging between 6 and 7. Put it out as an
AM.
announcement, and Chuck can sit at a computer and
Morning
answer
drive
questions.
That's right where I'm at. Blogging fool.
We also talked tonight about.
It'll make more sense when we have driverless vehicles, I think, so.
I can sit behind the wheel and blog. I'll have plenty of time to blog then. Earmark that page, Steve.
We talked tonight about mapping. In July, we'll be switching to a different map provider, another GIS system, better integration with the assessor's database, Patriot, ability to, again, add layers to the maps, drill down right into the property record card, see the picture that's on file of the residence, do a Google Street View. So it's a nice mapping system.
Will this have the capability of taking things from the builder's office and have it in the same spot as the assessors? If you know what I mean? Like when you go to the assessor's card right now, it'll tell you certain things, but it doesn't tell you, when a permit was taken out and things like that.
Well, we can have links to the permitting program also. So we could add to this, you can get, we can have the deeds available, we can have the property, the Patriot property record card, we can have the assessor's record card, and then we can have it go and link into the permitting system where they can go and view and see if a permit has been pulled on that property.
That's,
They're all scanned in, right? Are they already scanned, or are they?
It's electronic.
It's all electronic.
It's all,
Yeah.
well,
If you-
upstairs they're electronic right now, or they have to go over and actually pull it out, scan it, and then they have an electronic copy? Everything that's up there is electronic? They've got it all
Not
scanned?
yet.
Okay.
no,
No.
we don't have to do research, that's,
Right.
I have to go to the Board of Assessors, and sometimes the information in the Board of Assessors does not match up with the building department, that's what I'm trying to say.
Unless there's a,
La, la, la,
no,
la.
unless there's a delay with a new road or something like that, but they pull the building, the electronic permitting gets pulled from the assessor's database every day. So I don't know where there would be a discrepancy.
Well, I can talk to you later on, I don't know, when the research I have to do sometimes, I'll find out that it says 2-bedroom in one spot, and it'll say 3-bedroom in another.
Maybe it's the older houses
Maybe
versus the
newer ones, everything new we're
Could be.
doing is from like a year and a half ago on is all electronic.
All right.
So maybe it's the timing.
Another module that we can add from another provider and integrate it right into the website is an electronic town code. Right now, we have a Word doc that's converted into PDF, and it just sits there and gets stale
Page by
over
page.
time. This will be a searchable database for the town code.
We used to use this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had it was a subscription to general code publishers and all that, so.
So we'd still have that subscription, we'd integrate it into this module.
Yes. Some of the other things that we've been discussing, we talked with LCTV about producing a About Littleton little video, so not only to put that on the About tab on the homepage, but included more economic development opportunity too. Marketing tool. The GIS mapping, If you'd like to see an example of that, that's, we can go to a link from the town of Harvard right now. It's a lot of the same things you saw tonight
Yeah.
on that little thing. What I do want to show is a couple of links, if I can get over there. What is the GIS? This is the transparency, the open checkbook. So Bonnie's going to be talking about our GL conversion that we'll be doing starting in July. One of the modules that Tyler has is Tyler Transparency. This is an example from Columbus, Ohio's school system. It'll be the same type of data. Total expenditures year-to-date, it's totally clickable,
Don't show this to Fontanella.
compares,
Well, it's a matter of what data gets input for us to be able to see what data.
compares
1B.
all the years that are out there, and we'll be, at least have the first 2 years to begin with for general ledger. How close we are to budget, for example.
How real-time?
As often as we like to have it.
Weekly, okay, very real.
We're talking about updating it at least once a week. So this site, there's a tab underneath that says this is current as of 5/18.
When we were, actually, when he was sitting talking with us one day, it was actually changing as we were talking.
I was watching the numbers change.
Well, it must have the actual warrants, right, somewhere, where the names of who's getting checks?
We can go straight to vendor payments right here.
Okay. Good.
So this is a list, I'm going to scroll down here.
Search for.
So this is everybody that the school system has paid, so if I click on Able Audio, scroll down a bit. Did it do it? There we go. There's everything that was paid to them. 20 transactions totaling $4,000.
Is there an incoming revenue stream from Tyler? Marketing this program?
Again, we can go back here.
That's pretty cool.
So it's vendor, there's same things for revenues. Revenue overview, we can do it by fund, we can do it by department, by budget. Totals of the fiscal year. Function. Payroll is the same way. We can go straight down into payroll.
That's pretty cool.
It's totally open. This is everything that we do.
How locked in does this make us with the software that we're going to talk about shortly? You know, are we now tied together sort of in perpetuity because we have a website that draws from that data source and that data source works with
This
this
is the
website?
same provider, it's
Right,
Tyler. so-
but in the future,
There are other providers of this same
are there
type.
other providers that can be interchangeable here, so we're not?
Yeah, it'll look different, it'll be a different product, but it'll
Sure,
be the same.
but it's
There's
not
open,
everything needs to be.
There's
Munis is like Microsoft, right? It's like, a lot of people sell it, right? I don't mean it's like Microsoft and its content, but I mean, you can get it from a lot of different vendors.
Well, you can buy it through the state.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or you can buy it direct from Tyler, it's a Tyler product.
okay.
You can't really,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not
Tyler
a
decides-
generic thing like
Yeah.
Xerox to speak of here.
Tyler decides to double their prices in 10 years, we can go out and look for another vendor without too much.
I mean, Munis is everywhere though,
It
right?
is,
Unis is one of the largest
It's,
municipal,
yeah.
Right.
products across the country.
And it's based in Yarmouth, Maine, right by B&M, what is it, B&M Beans?
Payroll detail, we can get payroll for by employee for the years.
I don't know, in fact, that the B&M Big Bean Company,
Trying to bring it down to your level there, Jack. It's all right. It's relatable. I didn't say,
stop please.
So you can see it's
Mark Show.
very powerful. I mean, you can slice and dice this information anyway. On the economic development front, this is a module that the town of Simsbury, Connecticut's using. Choose down here. So why choose Simsbury shows our story, goes links to GIS mapping, opportunities as far as development, Economic Development Committee, activity reports, what's new in town. If I go down a little further, apply online for permits, so there'll be a link straight into our permitting software online. Just general information of the town, selling the town, basically. Just to show you a couple of,
Assume somebody in the process knows that this effort is already going on through the late, and a lot of departments, consultants with the Economic Development Committee, and we've had meetings on content and getting aerial photography, the drone photography, et cetera, and all this research.
That's
I mean,
content, right? That's content, though, right?
Content and functionality. Actually, the commitment to set up the website page that we were anticipating having a link to the town's website with.
so we could still do that.
It's just right under a
We could still
department or
do
a
that.
commission, or?
Well, I just hate to see duplicated effort, especially when it was known that that's ongoing, so I mean, that should be able to merge the two.
Well, absolutely. It's, again,
This is
it's
an
just
option.
links, it's
Yeah,
just
no, it
options.
looks like a good option.
This is the, kind of the menuing system that I was talking about from our front page. How Simsbury did it, you click on the government thing, so they have boards on one side, departments on the other, basically. And then a different way to look at things in this town services. So it lists, instead of by department,
Can I sit here, Chuck?
say what do you want to do? What do you want to do to come into the site? Do you want to look at budgets? Do you want to look at land records? Do you want to get a permit, plumbing and electrical permit? So if you didn't know where you needed to go in town, but you knew what you wanted, you can come in here, and it takes you straight to the page. where
So are
you're supposed
those
to be.
redundant, as in there's a town services and then
Absolutely.
a
So if you know where you want to go
department-based
to,
directory? Okay.
to the Board of Selectmen, you just go to the Board of Selectmen page. If you want to look at the budget, well, I've seen, I'm a resident, and I've seen the Finance Committee talk about the budget, and I've seen the Selectmen talk about the budget, and we have a Finance Director. Well, where am I going to go look? I can just come here and say, show me the budget. And he'll take it to wherever it is. So it's just a different way to get to the same place. And, we want to make navigation in this site as easy as possible, because that's one of the things that we've heard a lot about.
The biggest thing is that all of that's on the homepage. You don't have to go anywhere
Right,
else.
it's not all
It's
embedded.
on the homepage. You don't have to go
That's nice.
anywhere else. It's right there on the homepage. You can navigate right from the homepage.
It's really nice.
That's the biggest thing, is to find it right there.
So the next steps is basically to get in the pipeline with the website developer, and talking about maybe there's a lot to convert from our current site. A lot of links and things that need to be gone through, and
What was your anticipated timeline on implementation?
8 to 10 weeks, it would take from beginning to end.
I'd love to see that happen, but Mr. Chairman, I don't mind. I'd hate to, and there's nothing here in large measure that I object to. I think it's terrific. I love the work you've done. But I really think before we pull the trigger on anything, we ought to have an opportunity where we have a session where we have public in to say, what do you want to see in a website? Visually, how does that look to you? I mean, there's some rules here that, of website design that are, you know, getting broken there. Anything other than black text and a white background is tough on old eyes, and the bigger the text, the better, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all you have to do is go to Amazon, Walmart, and Staples websites, and you know, three biggest vendors in the world, and they look remarkably alike, and there's a reason why. They've spent billions of dollars figuring out what keeps people's attention. I don't know, I just think we ought to have a session where we use all the outreach opportunities we have to say, hey, we'd like your input. What do you want to see in the website? What kind of interactivity is important to you? What kind of content do you want on it? Here's our proposed design. Do you like it? You know, do you not like it? Why not? You know, visually, is it okay, et cetera, rather than just making those assumptions.
Well, so here's my pushback.
Yeah.
You can ask for as much input from the residents as possible, but this is what we're hearing from the residents already. We're hearing, I can't find this, I go to the website, I look for the calendar. We as in the departments, we find it with no problem. We know where it is, we get to it, we don't have a problem. We go to the calendar, and it's there, we know where it is. And when we explain to the residents how to get to it, they go, oh, there it is, okay? So we're already having these conversations with the residents already, Paul.
With the people that are making an effort to reach out to you.
Exactly,
Well, that-
so, and they're the ones that are using they're using the website. And so.
Well, a lot of people using the website.
But that are having the issues with the website. So, sure, we can reach out to as many people as you want and ask them to come. But
Should we have it like a survey? Do you want something?
Well, I think we ought to have a meeting of the board.
I would actually be interested in turning it around a little bit. I mean, I don't know how plausible it is to have a beta-tested module of sorts, but if we had something that we could take to a COA luncheon, or that we could take to some other event where.
Mock-up.
Yeah, and say, you know, and just solicit very real time, like, play with this for a minute. Tell me what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Well, can we put it on the website? Can we put it out there and just say,
Probably not until we have a contract. Well, we do have a contract, right?
here's a
You just, you
mock-up of it?
you can do mock-ups, but have an interactive one, will be charged for that.
Right.
That
Sure.
means the designers
Okay.
are creating something.
Right.
But I actually think that might be money well spent.
Right.
If it costs a little bit more to have a mock-up put together that we can then tweak and twist a little bit based on, you know, you guys know the broad complaints, let's make sure we get the details too, because eventually they'll start calling you about the
What
details.
you're talking about is beta testing a new website, so can we put the new website up? Our best shot at what it is, and while we continue to maintain the current website,
Right.
put up the new one.
Just have a link on the homepage of our existing one.
Brand it as, this is the one we want your feedback on, and then to, you know, put it up for a couple of weeks. and-
We can do that, it's just that the design.
You're building the whole,
You're
you're building the whole
building a
website.
site, and if they do a lot of changes, it's building another site. I mean, it can
But if
definitely.
they're doing a lot
be
of
done.
changes, that's telling us that maybe we're not getting it the way they want it. You know, I mean, it's theirs ultimately.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility on the existing site to do any kind of hero images or any kind of banner ad or anything that says, would love your input, how can we make it better? Because if
Yeah.
there are people that are currently going to the website, let's get them there.
Or,
If possible, I don't know if that's,
or could we put up this presentation?
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's true. You've already got a, you've
And
got.
let people just kind of go through it and see if anything
Yeah,
jumps out at it.
whatever form it takes, I'd love for there to be an opportunity for people to say, we're making these changes. There might be people who haven't called the offices, who just walk around frustrated or whatever.
by the way, this is an opportunity.
Yeah, and this is an opportunity.
Right.
That's why we're here.
Well, look, how was it on the agenda? The agenda was, you know, town website update information systems finance. Well, that doesn't say, you know, public forum to come tell us what you want on the website. We can do a little better part on our part if we're looking for input to get input. This is not a criticism of what you're doing. I'm just saying for our part, before we say go on it, I think we ought to get people's
But I
input.
think that, so to that matter, we've been talking to the residents and telling them we're changing, we're improving their website. We are working on a brand-new website.
Yeah.
We have been telling the residents for the last 6 months almost, that we are working on a new website to improve it for you, to make it better for you, to make it more accessible for you.
User-friendly.
So we've
Well,
been telling them that.
The ones you come in contact with.
No, when I have come
Yeah.
here and talked about the election and town meeting, I have been saying it at the Board of Selectmen's meeting.
But look, it's like any other issue we deal with in town. Until you ask for their input, you're not gonna get it. You know we're gonna get all the input if we don't do this, is right after we launch it.
Well, that was going to be my next question. What is the editing capability with the website? Like, how hard is it to change something?
It's immediate.
If we're
Just
like,
pay for
oh,
it.
it's not working, that's not working, can we add another tab?
Content
Can we-
is easy, it's the design.
The
It's the design?
Templates, it's the layouts,
Okay.
that's a design team.
Because
that's-
it's the same, going for the same look and feel on every page.
and
Yeah,
it's
but also-
pulling from, a master, how it filters out,
So the
that's,
content's not a big deal, but the design is.
Speaking of look and feel, have you gone to, how many of these other sites that they've designed have you gone to? Because this looked awfully familiar. I've been to a lot of sites.
We've
And
been to,
I mean-
25
oh,
of them.
more than that.
Yeah.
are we getting their boilerplate with our tweaks?
Oh, no.
No, we,
Well, how is it different? What design specs were we asking for that became
well, we-
specific to
with-
Littleton?
With all the sites that we looked at, the common thing that we liked was the buttons. As a team,
Yeah.
we're like, okay, what do we like? The buttons are kind of common now, but they're easier, accessible, they're pleasant to look at, they're really good on the mobile site, they transition really well. So
Plus,
we,
they're the most common used go-to areas of
Right.
the website. So
So-
those aren't just randomly thought
And the
of.
fact that,
And
the fact that
because-
Franklin or Harvard or Ayer or Simsbury have the exact same buttons, I don't care about that. If that's what works,
Exactly.
let's copy it.
right.
Let's not recreate the wheel and see if
But
it
if they're
works.
all getting it because that's what they get,
No,
handed.
many,
That's
many
not
options.
But they've looked at all these different things. I mean, I put my trust in you guys. You guys have looked at all these websites and you've kind of boiled it down to say, well, we like this and this will work for
That's
us.
exactly what we did, we pulled from different sites.
okay, then these folks were selected. What were some of the alternative approaches that were considered?
From different vendors?
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, there's about 3 or 4 most popular vendors, and they're all giving you pretty much the same thing. They're all coming up with buttons and notifications and e-alerts, and they've all got pretty much the same thing. It's just how you pull it together and what they offer you for flexibility.
Okay. On functionality, I'm assuming the technology's there where we, whatever we want to get, we can get.
Pretty much.
And in terms of content, that's probably, most towns want about 80% of the same stuff, and the other 20% is negotiable. If I were to impact one piece of it, it'd be the visual thing, because these look like, and I believe it or not, I hardly ever know how to turn these things on, but I actually work on designing the websites for a lot of clients, and it's, the visual part is what's changed a lot, the font, the text, the size of it, the way it looks, the amount of white on the screen.
All of that can be changed.
Graphic
Well,
user interface.
good, because that's, there's much, that blue banners and all that stuff, it actually makes it less, it's bad on the eyes.
Well, so that's,
We had a team that went through a lot of these, and
Yeah.
this was the common one that everyone came up with, but
Yeah.
we're certainly not stuck. We
Okay.
can change colors. we
Look,
can
I don't
change
mind being on the
fonts.
wrong end of the losing argument, I just would like to have people have an opportunity to have their input too.
And then how do we,
Yeah.
but I
So-
mean,
so
we can put up,
so what I'm
the hero
hearing is-
images up. The hero images can change.
Well, what I'm hearing is we'll put this presentation up on the website,
Right.
on the homepage. We'll put a banner out there that invites people to look at the presentation and provide them with maybe an email link.
Pick a
to-
half dozen,
to-
pick a half
to send
dozen
it to,
of the other towns.
webmaster@littleton.ma.
Right.
And we'll have them email their comments
Yeah.
I mean,
from this.
Every venue we use to get input on the master plan, on alumni field, on a library, or whatever it is, when we go out and ask, what do you want to see? And let's just, send it, and if you go to the website, the message should be consistent. Go to the website, check out the beta program, and give us your feedback.
Why don't I post it on Facebook?
oh yeah, that's,
Put that up tomorrow.
We'll get some
Oh,
feedback.
that's a good idea. I think that's the best way to do it.
Here's a question for the other end of this, though, and that's the implementation end. So if we put this all together and we have this great tool, does it change how difficult or easy it is for you guys to implement it and make it happen? Because if it's so onerous that we're spending all our time just updating the website, then
No,
we need
it's
to
not
rethink it
actually.
too.
The back end of this is very easy to use, much more so than the one we have now, actually. I mean, it's come a long way.
Don't
so-
go too far down that road. You already sold me in advance of your need for another body probably, or more hours, because the bottleneck, an understandable bottleneck of getting content up to real time is a human.
It's a human, and it has to
So,
be, it has to go down to each department is gonna have to contribute to this. We'll have training with every
Right.
department.
So,
Each department owns their content.
Department owns their.
so it's accessible enough that each department really can own their own
Absolutely.
piece.
They'll each have their own login, their own security, only to their
And
portion of the site.
one of the other things that we've done is we've written Clancy's job description to include more of this, so the next
Gatekeeper stuff.
person who
Yes.
comes in will be the owner of a lot of this
Oh, good.
information, that centralized person.
Definitely.
Does this make it more
How'd you
likely?
dodge that one, Anthony?
You're gonna report to me.
Does this, particularly once we fill that position, does this make it more likely that we'll be able to post official agendas online as opposed to the,
So they're all, so,
Look, one touchy subject at a time before Diane here.
There will be a lot.
they're always online, okay? It's just not the legal, it's not the official.
right, it's the timing of it sometimes.
And I gotta tell you, it's been a very busy month with everything that's going on, and I'm one person.
Yeah.
I get it up when I get it up. If it doesn't get up within the 48 hours, it does not put a meeting in jeopardy, okay?
Because
So,
the
because
legal
the
requirement
the
is
bulletin board.
the bulletin board.
Okay.
Because not everybody has access to the internet.
Right, so, you
And
know.
you
I
both
think-
need a person split between the two of you.
Yeah.
What's that?
Just
Maybe you
solve
need a
problems
person
tonight, Paul.
solve, yeah, right.
So, you
I'm
know,
adding,
Well, when this-
I'm adding personnel, that's not like me.
Great job. Great job.
No, I understand that there are
Your
both
name is gonna
personnel
show up in the
and
minutes.
technology limitations to that. That,
My reward.
that was the basis of the question.
right, so, I mean, so it's not gonna, so the new website doesn't have anything to do with posting on the website.
That's exactly what I wanted to know.
It has nothing to do with posting.
So
It's just.
That's a personnel issue.
And a
So
legal,
we're-
legal issue too,
Well, I mean, whether yeah.
keeping it legal.
We are hoping, though, that whatever content we put up, people can find more
Right.
easily with
Right.
with a redo of the website, because
Right.
it's difficult.
do you need any additional direction from us? Do you want more input from Paul? Because
I'm sure,
Paul's gonna stand on the common and say, check out the website.
is here, the new
You know, it was on my goals list from last August, and, you know, so we're already done, you know?
Do you think you get an idea of what we're looking at? And I wouldn't have, if the other communities are okay with posting a link to their websites, it's gonna bring their numbers up, right? If you,
We don't even have a choice, we just go ahead and do it anyway. If you're on the internet, you're on the internet.
Public domain.
Right.
I don't know, I just,
yeah, we can.
it gives people an opportunity to see kind of the look and feel of some of the
There are some
some of the
sites
communities that you thought were more in line with what you would like to see for us.
So you'd have people vote to tell us which town they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, that actually, the idea of posting
Jeff-
maybe
Jeff-
something
Harvard, they'll be
you
all
guys
upset.
went away from intentionally could be useful. Like, here's the other side of the coin.
There are
We-
some that are messy and really hard to look at, so we can.
I mean,
Too
by all
much
means,
on the
accentuate the hard
homepage,
work
too
that
much.
you guys
You're
did.
trying to force too much on a
Well,
page.
school committee used to have that. I mean, not school committee, the school department used to have that, where it was just, you couldn't figure out.
Yeah, information overload.
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys good?
Yep, we'll have the link up tomorrow.
We good?
Great.
Great.
Thank you for your work, thank you for your patience. Great work.
Yeah, it's awesome. I
Thanks,
love the
Paul.
blow. I love the blow.
You'll
Keep
thank
the
me
blow.
later. Maybe, maybe not.
we did it.
When we come back to the same exact one, I'm gonna say.
That's fine. Well, then we can say to the public, you had your chance.
Right.
Yeah?
No problem.
All right.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks for hanging in there.
No.
Thanks, Steve.
I know. You're right.
And these keys.
All right.
And these keys were left in the chair, and I don't know who they belong to, but.
Oh, is it, what kind of cars? Let's poop it in the parking lot, go for a little joyride.
Push the button.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
a little bit too much.
They didn't get far.
No, I don't.
Yeah, everybody check your pockets. All right, next up
How'd you get roped into that, Steve?
is
It's over there.
Item 8,
The letter's still there.
get the cameras on Keith, please. Peeping Tom. Town administrator, assistant town administrator. So the awarding of the integrated financial management software, which is Munis by Tyler, which we alluded to in our last presentation. I will, you want to go?
Sure.
Yeah.
So basically, when I first came here in 2006,
Yeah, back then.
way back, we used to be on a software called Admins, and it was a DOS-based program. It was horrible. It took forever to do anything. And my first task when I came here was, you've got to get us off this program. So we did a formal procurement back then. In 2006, we went to SoftWrite Samaria, which was a vast improvement. It's a very easy program to use. It served us well over the last 10 years. It was a vast improvement over admins. However, there's been such an increase for a demand for data over even just the last few years, such as the Citizens Transparency Open Checkbook, that our system just does not have the capability of. Compounding that, SoftWrite was purchased or acquired under the Acela umbrella, which is much like the Tyler umbrella with Munis underneath it. In the last 2 years since that acquisition happened, we've noticed a drop in our service response time. We're not getting updates regularly to the software anymore, so you kind of see what's coming down the horizon. They're probably not going to support this version, and at some point we're going to have to make a transition to a new program. So we had a couple of options. We can go through the state bid process, or we could go out for an RFP. We figured we would go out for an RFP first, because there's no harm. You could cancel it if you didn't get any responses that you liked, and go through the state bid process. So we did issue an RFP. I reached out directly to Acela at least a half a dozen times. I have documentation of that, and was told at least in 2 emails, yeah, I don't think we have what you want. So if that's coming from their sales force, we're kind of comfortable not engaging with the new company. Munis, or Tyler Technologies, has been providing the Munis product for over 25 years. They're used very heavily throughout the Commonwealth. Tyler has municipal finance programs throughout the continental United States. They're very, very popular. They have a habit of purchasing other innovative programs and then integrating them into their software, like the Citizens Transparency module that you saw tonight. So what we're looking to do is, we did actually go out for bid in September. Tyler submitted their bid on time. We've been going back and forth with demonstrations and having the staff view the modules, which modules will likely be beneficial, which ones we don't need. The package price right now that we're looking at is about $343,194. But the request tonight is to ask the board to vote to authorize the execution of the contract up to $350,000. I've got town council going through the details, so some of the dollar figures may change slightly. But in any case, it would not go over $350,000. The implementation is going to take about 18 months at a minimum. It will start with my end, GL, and then it will end with payroll and human resources. The other benefit to this is we don't currently have a human resource model, and we have 450 employees in this town. So we do a lot of stuff offline in Word and Excel, trying to manage, what we need to do. The HR module handles everything from the recruitment to the enrollment and benefits to, employees can log in and figure out how many personal days they have left, if they need a copy of their W-2. It provides a lot more service than them coming into our office and waiting for, somebody to give them a copy of something. The transparency that can be provided, you saw, we can tailor that a little bit with some limitation to Littleton's needs. So if there's seasonal information that we want on that top bar, we can do that. We can restrict the amount of information if we didn't want to have all of that data out there. My thought is it's public record, it should be out there, so I have no problem with it. The nice thing about that is it's fully integrated with the software, so staff doesn't need to do anything to maintain that citizens transparency. It's just integrated with the software. The other benefit that helps Nancy out is that it's hosted, so it's a software as a service product. They have over 4,000 communities that are using this now. It's great. She will not have to maintain one of these servers. It provides better backup, better disaster recovery capabilities. You can, if this building, if something happened to this building, we could just go to another building and plug in and be fine, and have all of our data. So there's a lot of benefit. Tyler is very aggressive in keeping up with updates on their software, and they support their customers that have not been as willing to update. They have versions that are being supported that are 10-plus years old. They're trying to migrate them, but they're still supporting their clients. So it's pretty nice company.
Thank you, Bonnie. Do you know where it's hosted?
In Maine.
It is in Maine?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not just buying some space on a server in Santa Clara or something?
Well, it might move there, but
Okay. Just ran into that at work where it was an offsite. As far as other communities, I know that you've done a lot of diligence with this, and you've reached out to a number of communities, so as far as references, that kind of thing, you've done all that diligence?
yeah, we actually went to North Reading for probably 4 days. They were very kind in letting us come out. They put on a demo of their product that they're using now. We went and visited with their staff. They gave us the good and the bad and, what to look out for, but they're very happy with the product. We've called a couple of other communities locally that are on it. Also very conscious of the service that they provide, So even if you're having a problem with the module, they said the service is very good. And there's a lot of self-service modules that you can, if you don't want to make the call and talk to somebody, you can go look it up. And I've done it, it's really easy. So.
How well does this integrate with our security software, our security tools? Yeah, and is Tyler supporting any security components of this, or is that completely on us?
Well, Nancy's looked through the requirements from her IT perspective with our firewalls and everything is, there's no issue there.
Yeah, and their data they're stored encrypted, so
Right.
they're HIPAA compliant, there's no issues with security.
And they meet the state standard with.
Yeah.
It's been vetted, they're on the list, yeah. Comments or anything, Joe? Any comments, questions?
Delighted, Bonnie knows that we're at this point. I know she has a lot of reasons to want to make this change, and I'm tickled that this gives us the opportunity to do that transparency, open checkbook component without creating a big headache for staff.
Make it blue?
Small font, very small font.
I'm glad
Well,
Paul.
we want to be in the black though, right? So
Right, tickle me elbow, tickle me gravy.
And just to put it into context, the last time we did a conversion was $260,000. So, and that was 10 years ago. So I know it's a lot of money, but
Do you expect a similar lifetime? I mean, I know it's hard to predict, but a similar lifetime out of this?
I expect a longer one just because there are clients that have been on this product for 20 years and they just keep going to, different versions of it. So they keep upgrading. And some upgrade every year and some upgrade every 3 years. So we have that flexibility with this.
I know you put a ton of time into this, and as always, we appreciate all that you do, but I know this was a huge undertaking.
This is going to be my life.
And this is just the beginning, yeah. Bonnie, who? Anthony, you ready?
we tried honking the horn.
So Bonnie, on this, I just had a question about, the quote contains estimates for the amount of services needed. It's on the last page.
Those are for supplemental services.
It's for supplemental. And as far as the tech support, is there a cap on that? Is that part of an agreement? It's on the.
Subscription?
It's unlimited. They're 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. by phone, 24 hours online.
Nice. Okay, great.
Eastern time?
Bangalore Standard Time.
Maine.
Main
Yeah.
plan.
Yarmouth time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be right with you.
Perfect.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize award of a contract for integrated financial software to Tyler Technologies of Yarmouth, Maine for its Munis product in the amount not to exceed $350,000 effective July 1st, 2017, and subject to town council review of the final contract document.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a good fiscal year for you, Bonnie.
I'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Bonnie, who? All right, next up we have 8B, policy adoption. What are we doing for time?
These are the two ones that were submitted by
Personnel committee.
the Personnel Board that we received at our last meeting.
Yeah, we had it the last one.
That was first, essentially like the first reading.
Right, and this is the second reading, yeah.
The questions, comments, amendments, edits?
No? You want a motion?
Take it.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to adopt a proposed domestic violence leave policy and a separation of employment policy and procedures from the Personnel Board as introduced to the Board of Selectmen's meeting on May 8th, 2017.
Second?
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Aye. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. 8C, fire station facility update.
Waiting patiently back there.
8:20, 9:20, close. It's all good.
We've been here,
You want to talk schedules?
we've been here since 6 o'clock.
So this is Kevin Heffernan, he's our OPM, he's gonna give you
Good evening,
brief
everybody.
update.
How are you?
There you go.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, to provide you an update as to where we are in the fire station project. Obviously, everybody knows that the project was started in December of 2016. Our completion date is December 14th of 2017. We have one change order that has added 10 days to the contract. So the new completion date is now December 24th.
Christmas Eve.
So we know we're probably going to go
No cost
a
change
little
order?
bit beyond that. Excuse me?
No cost change order?
No, it's a cost change order. Yes. We have two change orders, as a matter of fact, I'll just jump out, that total $126,000 so far. All right, we have several PCOs that are still open, they total around $35,000. Work completed to date, obviously the demo of the old police station, the old barn that housed the old fire equipment is now demolished. The interior of the building is completely demolished, and now the new framing has begun. Exterior drainage structures have all been installed around the entire site, as well as masonry and concrete has started as well. Proud to report that the apparatus bay steel is now installed, which makes a big difference on the site. When you drive by now, it's no longer a dirt area. Now you have to actually see the framing all going up. We're also, masonry has started on the exterior as well. So the stair towers are now complete, as well as the storage area in the rear of the building. So you can see how that work is progressing very nicely. Masons are on site. We're totaling around 15 to 20 guys per day. It will increase dramatically once they start doing the interior roughs. Castagna Construction out of Newburyport was awarded the contract originally. Their contract is for approximately $6.5 million. The overall total project was $8.9 million. To date, he's done 5 payment requisitions that total approximately just over $1.2 million, so we have remaining $5.3 million. Like I said before, we have 2 changes that total $126,000. The project remains very much on schedule, which includes those 10 days added on. We have a third change order that will be coming as well. That might add a couple more days into the project. However, we'll update you that as soon as we figure out and negotiate with the contractor. No serious delays or concerns have been discussed with the contractor. I'm proud to report that he's still on schedule and, most importantly, on budget. All right. Future work being done is going to be the rough electrical, rough carpentry, rough plumbing, masonry, additional steel, and new water service, which will be tied in to the road right out front in Foster Street. So that is our update for right now. We're looking very good. We've had our heart-to-heart conversations with the contractor every Thursday, attended very well by Anthony over here, as well as Keith has been to the meeting as well. We have a representative from the Permanent Building Committee who's also attending, as well as the chief and Deputy Chief Clancy. So we're very, very well represented, and I think the project is going very well at this time.
So just of the change orders that you said was
$126,000 approximately.
And so that compares with, what was this, remind us what the size of the contingency was that was set aside from which those change orders are presumably drawing down?
Approximately right now, with the added wish list items, as well as a contingent, as well as a change order that has been approved to date, we have approximately over $400,000 still remaining in the project.
Out of the 8.9 million?
Out of the 8.9 million, right.
Right.
Right now, he's technically 20% complete with his project, 6 months. And it does not reflect where he should be. However, he has made up time with the steel structure. So the rest, now you'll start to see the jump in payment requisitions. The last one was almost $500,000. Now they'll start to steadily increase to a certain point. Probably August you'll be at the height, and then it'll start to come down the other way. So
We have all the contractors inside.
everybody's all getting ready to go inside. So what we've done now is we're almost into like a phasing plan, so they're not going to be stepping all over each other. So the HVAC guy, who obviously has a lot of work that he's going to have to do with the units that he's got to put in, they're setting aside, they did a coordination plan, which worked out very well. We had a very, very productive meeting with all the contractors on site to make sure that there were no coordination issues. The most important thing about a coordination meeting is to make sure that they don't come back to you later on and say, oh, I can't get in now. Well, it's not our fault. You guys are supposed to prepare a drawing, discuss amongst yourselves. They've now done that, so we've protected the town from incurring any unforeseen change order increases through that type of non-coordination.
Perfect.
Any meaningful health and safety issues?
No, I'm the OSHA inspector as well, so no, none. The ones that I do notice right away, I tell him instantly, and he's been privy to see me in action a couple of times, and I don't take them slacking very lightly at all.
Any contractors you've had to remove from the site?
No, not yet. No, I came close. I'm not gonna lie to you, I came close, but, sometimes you can't fix somebody who just wants to be ignorant, so. But I'm not afraid to say something to him. I was gonna say something else, but.
That's why he's doing alumni, too.
In the website.
Because how do you feel about font size? You like the blue?
So one of the additional items that was included in your packet going forward with the project is part of the landscaping. And one of the portions that's owned with this is the area where the flagpoles are. There's an area out on the side with brick walkways, finished beds and things of that nature. But inside the area where the flagpoles are, we currently own there's a slab of granite, basically for a base for our monument. Since we have a healthy contingency fund, we would like to propose finishing the monument and making it complete, so that this is just a absolutely complete project come December, and we wouldn't have to come back or do anything else. A couple of the guys in the station, the firefighters, have been dealing with a local sculptor who does all of the sculpting for the NBA, and as well as a few other sculptors, just to try to get a ballpark. Some of the monuments that they've seen in the local areas, this seemed to be one of the favorites, with the kneeling firefighter and the bronze helmet on top of the granite. What we're proposing is the kneeling firefighter, and then basically the portion in the middle. The monument itself would be brick with 2 bronze plaques on the front of it, with basically the fireman's prayer and just a dedication to the members who have served. And it would have the helmet on top. Originally, the sculptor and the pricing was roughly $86,000. And he has agreed to, if approved, do it for cost, which is roughly 30 grand. He said he would, gladly volunteer his time as long as we could cover the materials. If you look up here, this is basically the area. You can see the area in blue would be where the monument went, and then the white rectangular area is what one of the options that we have right now that's owned in the project is a granite bench. We would do away with the granite bench and actually have the bronze statue in front of it facing the monument. And then there's 3 flagpoles behind that in the arc of the brick walkway.
Right, and a majority of all of that is already pre-owned by the contract. The contractor owns it already. The contractor's also discussed with the chief about swapping one for another item with regards to the granite. So we wouldn't be incurring any additional costs except for what the gentleman would be providing with the sculpture.
Local mason, Todd Dutcher has volunteered to build the monument itself. We would use the existing brick that's going into the addition, so it would match the facility as well. And these would be the plaques in bronze that were mounted on the front, on the face of that the firefighter would be kneeling, looking at. It's a prayer, and again, just the kind of the dedication to the members. Honestly, I think it would be a nice finish to the entire project, and yearly, as the members, as the Memorial Day Parade goes there every year, there's a ceremony and the break. It's just a nice focal point to the whole project.
And it flows very nicely from the park to the fire station, into this new dedication area, right into the conference room and everything else. So it makes a nice little transition from one right into the other.
So tonight, I'd be looking for an approval to use some of those contingency funds to make this happen.
Did you already make that May 1st deposit?
No.
Get some wiggle room?
We do. It takes roughly 5 months for the sculptor to create the whole figure and have it ready for installation.
It's pretty awesome.
You don't control the purse strings on this, it's the PMBC, but because it's generally falls into the category of, signage or something that under the zoning would require your approval, so that's why we're here for that design vote.
It's terrific.
Any conversations?
It's a
This
nice,
is really a motion pursuant to the sign bylaw.
Right, you're not, a vote that you take won't free up the money because it's PMBC appropriation.
yeah, it's more the aesthetics on the town property, right?
Right, and PMBC has come to you before for like the variable message sign in front of the middle school and other things that have been associated with other projects.
Just because I couldn't really grasp, so the two plaques are going to be one on top of the other, or two sides?
Side by side.
Side by side.
So they'd be side by side.
As was shown on the screen.
Yep, and it would be basic, if you look at the picture with the figure on it,
Yeah.
this was kind of
Be
my...
like the Ten Commandments right there in front of it, instead of that big
And the
black
brick,
thing.
the brick portion would be a little bit larger. It would have a granite top and a granite base, roughly 4 foot by 4 foot.
Okay, so that's.
Right, and the
I just was
plaques
thinking
would be on the
prayer was
front
gonna
of
be this
that.
little, like a mascot.
You get the one with the
Pretty
text
wide,
too? Do you
yeah.
get-
15
you get to
commandments,
fly with the text?
10 commandments.
So
Notice how impossible it is to read that on the screen, just like a website.
If it was blue, no problem.
That's fine.
Yeah, if it were black letters on white,
That's right.
We're gonna work on that too, yeah.
then so marble,
I can't read any.
No, in person, it's fine, it's just on the.
Let me help you.
Well, we'll increase the font.
that means make it bigger. Pinch it.
All right, no discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Littleton bylaw, Section 173-34C, to approve the design proposed enhancements of the existing firefighters' memorial monument at 20 Foster Street Fire Station location.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all your work, Kevin, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, no
both.
problem.
Stay on Green Acres.
I worked with him very closely, and we were informed of a new completion date that was made at some groundbreaking ceremony, something like that, that we promised everybody that we'd made, so.
August 28th?
Yeah, something like that. I think it's like the flag football game beforehand, so. No, they're all working very diligently up there to make sure that's all gonna happen for you. Right now, there's nothing that's been standing in our way. So thank you very much for all your help. We appreciate that very much.
Nothing and no one.
Take care, I'll talk to you later on.
What's that?
Nothing and no one standing in your way.
Right. Not in front of you. All right. So we are up to 8D, which is procurement, facility project updates, town buildings and space needs analysis. So, you want to take this?
Yeah. So we're finally at the point now where the committee has met regarding the two bids that we received for the town offices, building and space needs. Committee met, we reviewed the two proposals, we followed up with references, we also had some follow-up questions with regards to project completion. We felt as a committee to recommend Alan Lieb and Associates, what's it, exactly, Alan Lieb Architects and Associates from Linfield for this project. The PMBC voted last Wednesday to award the contract not to exceed $50,000 to Alan Lieb Architectural and Associates. And right now, we're, Chris Stoddard, who is the lead on this, is in, working with them on the contract language and negotiating the scope.
Okay, good. So,
Could we get a copy of the draft scope when it's circulated? I'd kind of like to know what's in and what's out, so
Sure.
we can talk to people.
Well, and the fact that we don't have a scope yet is a little, I mean, we have a cost, but we don't have a scope, so how did we arrive at those before we?
Well, the specs for the bid did go out with what we were looking for, so now it's just to make sure that they're in line in project phases and completion phases to the project.
So it's more timing.
It's more timing, and how much they can get for each phase of the project too.
however, I would offer that we've had some conversations early this evening in executive session where we talked about the potential of procuring office space that is outside of the town's ownership, so private office space, and there's a process that we have to go through for that, as you know, and I think we'd like to try to incorporate that in the scope if possible, so not necessarily any particular property, but that the potential exists that there's property out there anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 square feet that the town may be able to purchase.
Yes.
And incorporate into this assessment.
Yeah, the committee did discuss that, and we felt the same way, that we should look at other opportunities that could be available to the town as far as meeting some of our space needs that have been identified.
Can the scope, I don't know if there's been discussion on this or not, but I know we've discussed it at this level, that with the scope, is it possible to include, without upsetting the apple cart, some provisions for public input, so that if we want to either have, make sure our consultants can have an open session with public, or whether we put together some citizens to have some input. I mean, right now, it's all in-house. Again, there's a lot of interest in our space needs, and how they're met.
There's pros and cons to doing that, right? I think it's a good point, and it certainly, we can have discussions, but if we open this up, we're just gonna delay when the completion is of the study. Right now, we're trying to focus on a completion of September, before the warrant closes, or
All right, even though this is all being done, say prospectively, the contract's awarded, the scope is agreed upon, are there gonna be opportunities where at least there'll be posted meetings that the public can attend, so if we're not gonna change the process, we can, I just hate to do something, there's some, that we've personally attached a lot of importance to, at a lot of different levels, and then tell the public, we'll get back to you when it's a done, finished product.
We can pass that information on to the consultant, because he's gonna be meeting with various departments and boards, and at that point, maybe we can make it so it's a.
I think the model that we might want to follow is, just as we had a review team, or working group, whatever we were calling it, for the sewer project, yet that group had public meetings where the consultant is putting in, that would, it's not to say that you shouldn't do what you're going to do, get the input. I mean, in the first instance anyway, it's an assessment of needs that the departments have, and for which there is an internal review. But if that's discussed in a public setting, think that's helpful, especially when you go to the next level of, if these are the needs, and that's certainly something that you can put out there and get public input on, but if these are the needs and we're all agreed upon that, then how do we meet those needs? And that is a very, very public process of, which properties and, what configurations and all that.
And I'd add that we are at this point in large part due to public input. When it's come to
So
the
why stop now?
No, I'm not saying we should, and I think Keith's proposal is good. We're not stopping, we're proceeding. And, just with the library, mag center, senior center, Park and Rec has been looking for land, they were looking at the police station, the old police station, when the police vacated the police station. So, the school department is always looking at the possibility of relocating to free up space. So there's, I think a lot of this has been kind of bottom up,
Right.
driven from the bottom up.
So I guess, are you asking for the public to be involved in the assessment itself, or just be informed?
Oh, I'm not sure, I don't have, Cindy, I don't know. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we don't get to the point where we're looking at the report next September, and all these people that we told, during the library debates, that's going to be an important piece in it. I want people to come back saying, well, when did I have my chance to
Right.
voice something?
Right.
Well, if you tell them now, but it's already, we've reached some conclusions, then,
I just know-
maybe it's something along the lines of what Keith was suggesting a moment ago. We don't screw up this process, but we have a parallel or independent process where we gain some public
Right.
Well,
input.
I think that there are points at which and I'll just use the Elder and Human Services needs assessment. That was done, process was done by an outside consultant, but there were some programmed interfaces with the public, including a launch, midpoint review, or updates to, in that case, the Council on Aging, and then a public presentation of draft goals. So there, I think,
Well, that may
I
be.
think that there are some built-in things, not to make too much of a, to drive up the cost of the project too much, but I think that if you're going to be meeting with the consultant anyway, and with the team, well, then just televise the meeting. Just
Well, that's fine. I'm not saying it necessarily has to mean any more work for the consultant who screws up their plan.
Right.
But maybe it's at certain milestones along the way, we have an update. It doesn't even have to be the consultant, although ideally it would. It could be Anthony. We let the public know, and they can come in and hear where we're at with it, and then they can have their input. Fine, whatever process.
Yeah, that may be a nice
takes.
middle ground, right,
Yeah,
without
I just
incurring
don't want
costs
it
on
to
the consultant.
disappear under the radar and then pop up again in
Yeah,
September.
okay, no, I didn't.
I think that
wanted
an
to-
introduction of the consultant when they're
Right.
under contract.
And I think
I see what you're
updates,
saying now.
as
Okay.
the select.
Updates with an opportunity for input.
Sure.
Okay.
I have a quick procedural question in terms of bringing everybody into this. I mean, we had, I guess, was someone from the library invited to participate in the RFQ review? I note that we have someone from Selectmen, DPW,
You
Parks
reached out
and
to Sam, right?
PMBC, and COA, but we don't see anybody from the library on the RFQ review.
No, so that was an oversight when we were putting the team together. And it doesn't mean that they're not involved in the process.
Oh,
It's just-
absolutely, I understand.
Can they be from this point forward?
Right.
Following up?
They will be, they're gonna be part of, who the
Everybody-
consultants
everybody
will
in
be
the
talking
structure
about, to
will be
find out where are the needs and how much space and how we have to go about securing the future of whatever it is we decide to do. So that was really just, I'll take the blame on that. We could have certainly included Sam on that, so I apologize for that one.
In terms of scoping, it might make sense now to reach out to Sam and just let him know, hey, we're tightening all this up. Sorry.
Yeah, when we have a
We're-
kickoff meeting, all of the major players.
Okay. Is Sam involved in the scoping discussion?
Right now, Chris is just kind of working out the contract with
Okay.
them, so once, yes, he will be involved.
And
Because we have not yet had the kickoff meeting.
Right.
With the staff.
And the library was very much part of the conversation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I understand. I'm
Just
more
wasn't a
concerned
stakeholder.
about the
Wasn't a
perception than
stakeholder.
the
Right.
reality.
Perception
Yeah,
carries a lot of weight.
Blame the new guy, you didn't know everybody.
that's fine,
Yeah.
we'll throw you under the bus as long as
Well, move.
you'll have us.
All right, moving on to intermunicipal agreement. Everybody's good with 8D?
Thanks very much. The two intermunicipal agreements in item 8E are with the town of Boxborough. In the case of one, we are providing services to them, and the other, they are providing services to us. It's in the case of the animal control officer services, that's provided by Boxborough to us. It's the fourth year that we've lived under this arrangement. Essentially, the cost, it's a program offered by Boxborough. The costs are shared between Littleton, Boxborough, and Stowe. All three of our communities share the service that's based in Boxborough, and it's been, and just a few years ago, we frankly didn't have the service offered. What happens, if you need the service, you call the police, and then you sort of try to figure out what to do. But we have had, I think, good service from Boxborough, and they're willing to continue to provide it. Meanwhile, Boxborough is loving the LCTV service that we provide them. And you may recall, a couple of years ago, we went from half-time to full-time staffing for Kirby Dolac, that in order to be able to meet the demand of Boxborough, that we had been approached by that other town. They were looking to be able to have services which they were not able to provide themselves and wanted to be able to contract with us. All the costs are paid for by Boxborough, but we are providing the service to them, and they really were getting high marks from them for the service they get.
Is that a fixed rate, or is the LCTV?
It's a contract rate.
Is that a contract rate, or is that on a as-used
It's a
basis?
flat rate and then an hourly, right?
It is,
Flat annual?
well, yeah, I mean, it's a budget, it's based on the number of hours, it's based on we budget for this number, 58,000, so that we then, they are committing to buy services that are equal to that amount. So it's a contractual arrangement of, you want this many selectmen meetings done during the year, you want this many, the town meeting session, and what does that all cost? We've costed it out. That's our basic rate of what we get. We get paid that amount divided by, I forget if it's 12 or 11 payments over the year, but we get paid that as a base. And if there are services beyond that basic level, then Boxborough pays at $89 an hour under this current contract.
We did receive, I received an email from the moderator from Boxborough, just giving kudos to Kirby and to the staff for making them feel like they weren't second fiddle to our town meeting. And, the professionalism and the level of service that they get from LCTV for their annual town meeting, they were very happy with the level of service they got. So just kudos to our friends up in the room. All right, any discussion?
No, I think it's pretty
on
straightforward.
I'll entertain a motion on 8E1.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 4A, to authorize execution of an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Boxborough for the provision by Boxborough of animal control officer services to Littleton, with a term from July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018, at the cost of $26,657.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. About 8E2.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, subsection 4A, to authorize execution of an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Boxborough for provision by Littleton of LCTV services to Boxborough for a period July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, for $58,000 with supplemental services at $89 per hour.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, minutes approval.
You
You ready?
I did review them, and I'll say for all the criticism I get for being long-winded, my name hardly ever appears in the minutes, but
I told Diane to make sure your name appeared.
Right.
But I do think it's a fine capitalization of the minutes, doesn't require any change, and I would move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the meeting minutes. Oh, fine.
Yeah, he just assumes he's the only one that, yeah.
Well, look, usually you're asleep during all this, go right ahead, yeah.
No, let's see if you're going to say what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Page 3, under section 4, third paragraph down. Fourth sentence, alternate members to be appointed jointly by the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board. Remember, we had some discussion about how those members are going to be appointed. And I would add the word jointly there.
I have no problem with adding that in there, I think it does clarify, I didn't,
To be appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
To be appointed jointly
Jointly.
by the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board. We went about 20 minutes with them on that.
yeah,
Right.
Sure, yeah, I mean, that is certainly what we're doing, yeah.
yeah.
That's different than what you have, Cindy?
Yeah, this is just, in paragraph 3, it was Christine Nordhaus, not Whitehouse. I don't know if
Oh,
that matters.
in the, actually, you know
Page
what, I was
2.
trying to figure out who that was.
Ah, yep.
That's HAUS, right?
Yes.
If we're gonna get it right, we may as well get it right.
All right, well, great,
very
thank you for
good.
the input. With those changes, then, I'll move that the Board of Selectmen approve the meeting minutes of the May 8th, 2017 meeting as amended.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Boy.